use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for war, man, forget my peace. We take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. Right guys, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Look who's arriving heroically on a Wild Billy Thursday. Greg Cody is arriving in the middle of our show. He's gonna get ready. He's gonna get ready quickly. That will not be noisy at all.
No.
He will do so efficiently. A surgical strike like a Navy SEAL team. He will be a 70-year-old that gets into position and ready to broadcast.
Wow.
Like the professional that he is. How was traffic this morning, Greg?
It wasn't the traffic. What happened is I had to swerve off the road to avoid a hurtling meteor that was crashing to the earth.
Huh.
Plus, traffic was bad.
Right.
Okay, he's coming in flying with jokes and noises. He's going to unzip a what I'm assuming is a travel bag he got at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics.
Wrong. This happens to be a Christmas gift from an unmentioned son of mine who decided I needed a new one.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a little bit small, but it's new.
What Christmas? This year?
Yeah.
Michael?
The other one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, Christopher.
I think it was Christopher. I don't know. I mix them up all the
Well,
time.
Makes sense,
Christopher is out today. He and Mike Ryan have decided to go celebrate hockey in Canada and Valentine's Day together. They just decided not to show up for work. I'm not going to reveal any sources, but in the eating area before the show, I did overhear some people say, some shrug, and say, I don't know, can they just show up for work whenever they want to? And I had no idea who they were talking about. It could have been anybody around here.
Yeah, it was those two. Yeah.
It wasn't those two, which is the funny thing. We were talking about someone else.
When I walked by and I heard you say it, I'm like, it could be anybody. I don't know who they're saying that about. That they're complaining they're grousing in the corner that they had to come into work today and somebody else didn't have to come into work and just chose not to come into work today.
Well, you run a loose ship. Can I say that?
Yeah.
You know, on Tuesday, I walk into a room here in the studio. Somebody's getting a massage.
Yep.
The hell's going on?
Yeah.
That did happen.
It happened.
And like in a somewhat state of undress. And the
Yeah.
door was locked. And we were
Yes.
like, well, we have to go in here. We were sent to the penalty box. And
Yep.
then they like opened the door and they're like, oh, we're getting a massage. And we're like, oh, it's
Right.
the middle of the show.
Got weird, right?
It did, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
weird,
we had
yeah.
to get out of there because you had sent all three of us to the penalty box at the same time. We had to figure out a new place to go. I don't know what's going on
A
here.
little awkward.
If I was there, point A to point B. That day we veered
that's
off.
Right. Well, let me ask the group this before I get into today's subject matter, because when Greg Cody says this, it would appear to be self-evident. The sentence, you run a loose ship. Yeah, there aren't a lot of working environments in America that look like this on television. Like, yes, we run a very loose ship, but I thought that's what employees would want. I'm wrong, right? I'm wrong that the running of a loose ship makes it so you get those conversations in the corner of the eating area where people are noticing that somebody else has a day off and isn't working as hard as they are, or whatever it is that those things. So, I would think that most people listening to this would like to work in an environment that is a loose ship. I'm wrong.
Well, the reality is no one wants to work, right? So, like, that's if we're going to cut to
We'll
the chase.
take a loose ship, I guess.
No one actually, if you gave everyone their, prime working conditions, it would be, I don't want to work.
Is that true? Do you think that's
Yes.
true? I don't think that's true, man.
Most people don't want to work.
Okay,
Dan.
but there are a lot of people that love their jobs and do want to do them. Like, I'm not making that up. I would say, you've heard me say this before, I think the unhappiness epidemic that you will find everywhere in the world is at least triggered in part by the fact that a lot of people are doing for more than 40 hours a week something they deeply resent having to do. Like, I understand why people would be really sad with their lives when so much of it is spent something they hate doing, but this ain't that, or it's not supposed to be.
Maybe there's just a lot of baggage that comes with this loose ship. Speaking of baggage, Greg, is that a Toomey briefcase?
I have no idea.
That would be a good
That's
one. Wait a
an
minute. That's an
expensive gift
expensive
from your
brand.
son.
Yeah.
Is that a
Right.
I don't it looks like a Toomey, but I don't think
It is a Toomey.
Wow.
Look at that.
T-U-M-I.
It's a nice gift.
Wow.
Wow, is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
good
a,
one.
it's like a
Yeah.
$600 briefcase.
Probably-
No, it is. It can't be.
Probably a re-gift, if we're going to be honest.
It was a re-gift.
Why can't it be?
What do you mean it wasn't? What do you know?
I just have the feeling it was a re-gift from Christopher. That's all.
Really?
Yes.
Someone heard Christopher got the EP
Right.
situation and said, you know what, this is an important man of business. He needs a bag that goes along with it. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Erlene didn't give that to Christopher. He forgot, and then Christopher gave it to you. And no one wants to say what happened because we're all embarrassed.
I wouldn't be surprised if Greg Cody on Christmas is such a narcissist that the way he gives Christmas gifts is with little stickers that say "to me," and that comes right back to him
There you
because
go.
he's all about himself on these things. And I got to tell you, Stugotz, I stand wildly corrected here. I accuse that of being his 1992 Barcelona Olympics gift bag. Was that 92? Do I have the year wrong? 90?
Yeah, it was
I think it was
92.
92 Barcelona. He still has that bag, though.
He has it
Yes.
and brings it in often, and it's battered and it shows. My guess is, put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Do you have any bags that are 30 years old? Yes or no? Any bags? That is your phone. That is a
Not mine.
$5 Venmo fine for Greg Cody. Keep the phone on for a second and pay that fine. We're done with the not paying a fine.
I'd like to challenge that fine, though. I mean, he's coming in. He's
Thank
rushed. He's out of breath.
No,
I mean,
no. What do you mean you like
Extra
bad
to
day.
traffic,
No,
a meteor. I mean,
Well,
Right.
let's talk about the meteor for a second because
Sure.
Greg Cody made that as a joke, and I'm not sure he's aware. And Stugotz has been railing about this for a while. And I tell you, America, pay attention to this man. He was way out in front on Elon Musk, like ahead of the world on this. And something else he's been ahead of the world on is
the Chiefs.
why, also the Chiefs, yes, why don't we pay more attention when there's the risk of a meteor or an asteroid hitting the Earth? Now, hold on, Tony, before you wave your hand at me. Last week, for reasons that I'm having trouble explaining, it was reported by NASA that in 2032, there is a 1.6% chance of an asteroid between 100 and 300 feet, so as large as a football field, hitting the Earth. And then the next day it became 1.9% chance.
Wow.
And then it elevated a couple of days later to 2.3% chance.
Jesus.
And so I'm just curious. What do you, Tony? Why are you?
Don't worry about that, Dan. Okay, you worry about a lot of things. One thing you do not have to worry about is an asteroid hitting the world. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. When we talk about asteroids and we talk about space, okay, they're like, oh, there was a near miss of an asteroid. It was 998 million miles away. It just missed us. We can't believe it. So it's like, oh, there's a 2% chance that a football field size asteroid is going to hit us, but it's going to miss us by 40 million miles.
Yeah. I like those odds.
Me too, Greg.
2%. Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
those odds. And the other
Like
thing
milk.
is this.
But the odds are climbing.
Thank you.
1.6 to 2.1. I like those odds.
Yeah, but also, what are you, Stugotz, or Dan Le Batard going to do about it, other than panic for 10 years about
it.
it? Are you going to build a
Panic.
rocket ship and go out there and, like, deflect?
Somebody is.
You guys can literally do nothing about this whatsoever, so why even stress it? If we're going to send a Ben Affleck out there and they're going to blow it up and save humanity, that's for someone else to figure out how to do. That's not for you to figure out. That's not for Dan to figure out. 2%. Don't think about it.
Yeah. I'm more worried about a nuclear missile from North Korea, to be honest with
Wow.
you. And here's why. An asteroid the size of a football field is relatively small, right? And the U.S. military has the wherewithal to shoot that down when it is hundreds of miles away. And what you get, instead of an asteroid hitting the Earth, you get a million different little pieces of charcoal, and a couple of them might land in your backyard.
Hopefully in the barbecue.
Yeah, and it would be charcoal.
You're
You could use
speaking
it.
like a real expert on how this goes.
Oh yeah. No, I'm aware.
Right.
What does that mean? Can you? What do you mean?
He's aware,
What
yeah.
are you, what are you aware of?
You think the military does not have the wherewithal to shoot down
I'm not
a small
certain.
asteroid?
I'm not certain. I mean, that's my concern. Does anyone have a plan? They just talk about the asteroid coming near Earth by 2000. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah. That's fair. That's a good question.
Look, okay. let's just settle down for just a second, because I thought when, some of our nation's foremost scientists, right? I'm not quoting the Weekly World News here. It's NASA. Like maybe we don't know a lot about space, but I trust that those people know more about that stuff than we know.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe Billy has more expertise.
Well, we
than
haven't been to the moon in about 70 years,
Okay,
so
fair
we
enough.
kind of
Fair enough.
stopped progress there.
That's weird, by the way.
Exactly right.
Figure it out.
What do they know? They know something.
They've known
spooked
something
them.
for a long time.
Something spooked them very clearly. They said, you know what?
We're good.
Too close to the sun, literally, while they were moving in the opposite direction.
But if the result of my fear and Stugotz's fear and Greg Cody's fear is that Billy Gill, of all people, steps forward and says, let me be your fear coach, and tells us there's nothing to worry about, as I would say I'm not going to say our industry's chief worrier, but in this environment, you're not the...
No, you are, Dan. You've surpassed me.
Okay. So you and me are the chief worriers, and
Yeah.
I'm over here talking about the asteroid with my friends, and you're over here auditioning to be promoted for fear coach. Like that you're going to say that because you can control something, you shouldn't worry about it. Yes, there's enlightenment on the other side of that. That is absolute. That's the
Well, and
serenity.
death,
that's
probably.
the serenity prayer.
If it hits us, we're screwed, right?
It doesn't matter if we hit us.
I can't actually do anything to stop it from hitting us. And also, by the way, and I don't listen, I'm not going to pretend to be a military expert, but North Korea isn't where we ourselves need to worry about the missiles coming from, right? Like, they don't have a long-range missile enough that's going to hit Miami.
Yeah, but they got a crazy man running the country.
Yeah, but it'll hit somewhere else in the country, which,
And they're the
not,
only ones.
Not good, but also not us. Cuba's what we got to keep an eye on, you know what I mean?
Wow.
There was a
said
missile
that?
crisis
Was that
not
you?
too long ago.
Was that you,
What?
or was that somebody
Just
under
saying,
their breath?
got some of these ships going around the Gulf of America.
Don't worry, guys.
you
MIT
think?
said not to worry about it until 2028, and that's when they'll have a better sense for
Okay.
the actual
All right, then we can wait.
situation.
There you go.
So we've got time.
So we're early.
No, I'm going to worry right up until someone tells me
wait,
it's
that's
gone
not
away.
Don't
doing any
worry
good.
until
Yeah.
2028.
What a crazy
Yeah.
time,
Then you
huh?
can worry.
Mr.
Or
Calm
not
over
worry.
here.
They might tell they literally said not to worry
Right.
Yeah, well, there you go.
yet.
Go ahead and put it in your calendars. Let's see if we get an alert on our phones that 2028. That's good. That's good to know. So we don't have to worry now. We can wait till 2028.
When's
Don't
it
worry.
supposed to hit?
32.
By 32.
December
4 years of
22nd,
worrying after that?
2032, I believe.
Wake me up in 2031.
Billy, I don't know who this new you is. No,
What am I supposed to do, honestly, about this meteor? If I see it in the sky, I'm like, ooh, that's not good. And I'll panic then, but, I will die of a heart attack overthinking it and panicking before I die of it hitting us.
Right. I'm with Dan, though. This calm, collected, cool
Yeah.
Billy. It's Billy Chill.
They said it's not a dinosaur-killing asteroid, which was 10 kilometers
There you
in
go.
diameter, but it can do some serious damage. In the unlikely event the asteroid is on a path to hit Earth, they said scientists will be able to predict when and where it will hit, allowing people to be evacuated or even possibly deflecting the asteroid's orbit.
Well, there you go. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here.
Well,
Right.
you articulating a lack of worry. I would
Point
like
A to point B.
our show to produce Billy's. So I've enjoyed how you do the reads. You have you add some personality to the
I can
reads
shill it like no one else.
where it's
Attaboy.
distinctly you, and so it's funny in there. And I want to see if we can get you to be somebody who soothes people about whatever their anxieties there are, because it is a life truth and life wisdom that you just pointed out that yes, you will not be plagued by worry or anxiety. Your life will be happier if you do not worry about the things that you cannot control. Like you hear athletes say
Within
that
reason.
all the time. Well,
Controllables.
no, but you say
Yeah.
within reason. But when I was saying the serenity prayer, it's all about being able to have the clarity to figure out what's the stuff I can control and what's the stuff that I can't control. But when it comes to anxiety, and I ask this question sincerely because when you say that I've become our chief worrier, this is my first conscious experience with anxiety. Whenever talking about anxiety before in my life, it was something that I was separating myself from. I was being empathetic about. It was over there. This is what I imagine this feels like to blah, blah, blah. In my case, I'm not good at recognizing my anxieties. And so if I'm not good at recognizing my anxieties, then I'm not good at then figuring out what can I control, what can't I control. How anxious do you guys view yourselves as? Do you have Do you all have good self-awareness about how anxious you are? Because worry can be solved. Worry can be solved if you have the conscious presence to know that you're wasting your time worrying. But I don't think it stops any of us from worrying. I think it creates a great deal of unhappiness, the fact that you're always worried about something.
Yeah, most people worry too much. Anxiety is a real problem. But in this case, I reiterate, now there are asteroids out there flying around that are the size of small planets. Okay, if a small planet is hitting the Earth, I worry about that.
Right.
100-yard long asteroid is small.
Right.
It's a small thing. And I just
Going at a great speed.
going at a great speed.
Yes.
Well, you know, this is the modern age, though. Okay, if an asteroid was coming at us back in the old West, we'd have to try to lasso it with a rope.
That's true.
It wouldn't work.
Right.
Now the
Yes.
technology says you shoot it down, right? I mean,
We should try the lasso again, though. That would be cool.
it would.
To answer your question, Dan, therapy is very helpful to me in not just giving me coping tools for my anxiety, but also when I do think something in my head, like, what if an asteroid hits Earth in 8 years? I can then picture my conversation with my therapist and how hard she'd laugh at me for having that thought. And then the thought just sort of passes through and I never think about it again.
Why is it that all of us do what Greg Cody does, which is whatever future problem we have, often the future that can't be totally seen, we'll shoot it down with lasers. We'll fix it with whatever our future lasers are.
Sure.
Our government will do it.
Right. Send a platoon of drones.
Right.
Our
up to get it.
military. There's a
the drones will take care of it.
Yeah. Of
Gotten a
course.
lot better at just addressing that stuff head on. Therapy's really helped with that. You
Yeah,
know?
although
You just do it right away.
there was one session I had in 2020 where I was telling a different therapist that I have since not continued to see, like, hey, have you heard about this COVID thing in China? And he laughed at me and was like, you don't need to worry about that. And then 3 weeks later, we were in lockdown for the next year and a half.
Wow.
Well, there you go. You worry about it when it comes.
Yeah.
Good therapist.
These aren't Greg's problems, though. That's why he's not so worried about the asteroid in 8 years. I mean,
I may or
Right.
may not be around.
Well, that's the thing.
I told you when I got my new dog, I'm like, will my dog outlive me? Which
Jumpin'
is the first-
Charlie?
Yeah, it was the first time I'd ever had that thought. Jumpin' Charlie turns 3
Wow.
next month, and we're going to have a big party. I think all of you are invited. It's going to be a big-ass party for Charlie, so we're looking forward
You
to that.
think we're all invited?
You know, I'm not in charge of the invitations.
Right.
I have a staff that handles all that. So.
Greg Cody is a big dog guy. I am surprised that Jumpin' Charlie is another dog that he has brought into his life to care for. He has fallen in love with that dog. The dog is annoying. The dog will not behave. But he's a dog lover. And Monty the Schnauzer. The Schnauzer is the most magical of the dogs.
Yes.
But Monty the Schnauzer has now been has won the It's the champion Schnauzer. It is the best of all of the dogs.
He won Best of Show at the Westminster Kennel Club show, which is the Super Bowl of dog shows. I know there's a lot of derivatives now, a lot of competition, others, national dog shows. The Westminster is the Cadillac, the king of dog shows. And this dog, I'd never heard of a giant Schnauzer. I don't like dogs with giant in the name because like a standard poodle is a little tiny poodle that's like the size of a horse. My Nana and Pop Doogie had a giant poodle, and it was just freaky. Every time you went over there, it's like a poodle on steroids. It's a poodle the size of a pony. But congratulations to the giant Schnauzer. Handsome dog.
Bit pretentious looking, though, if we're going to be honest.
The Schnauzer?
Yeah, a small Schnauzer's fine. When it gets, like you're saying, big like that, a bit much.
I agree with you.
Is it the goatee? He's got like a little goatee hanging down. I think that's
It's
what
that
it is.
the hair combed to the side at the top. There's just a lot of it where you can sense like judgment coming from that dog.
When you
Right.
say bit pretentious, isn't that what we're going for on the high end of what that show is? I thought when you're calling it Westminster, if you call anything Westminster, what cheese, whatever, it's on the
Pretentious, yeah.
fancy end. Whatever Westminster, whatever is making something better. Yes, yeah, whatever. Yes, if I had some Westminster brand cheese,
Sounds good.
Look,
I mean-
okay, wait a minute. If we're doing word association, okay. Westminster is a word that I almost only associate with this dog show, and therefore it's highfalutin.
Right.
It is to treat your animals this way is a study in excess, and I thought the whole point was to be pretentious. It's essentially equestrian for dogs.
Yep.
When I think of Westminster, I think of Alex Rodriguez too.
Yeah, there you go. Westminster Christian. I think of Westminster Abbey.
Back in 2022, a bloodhound won. There was a Pekingese in 2021, a Fox Terrier in 2019, German Shepherd in 2017. There's all sorts of. There's a Beagle in 2015. Dan,
No, but
all
they are-
sorts of different dogs.
But they're all purebreds.
Well, yeah,
they're,
of
they're
course.
not
Yeah.
going to let Willow win the Westminster
mutt's
Dog
never
Show.
winning.
No,
Right.
never.
Well, this is America, Dan.
And like, there's all sorts of ethical concerns with breeding purebred animals and health effects.
Is it true? What is the highest ranking mutt there's ever been? Like, what is the success story of the
Willow.
Westminster Dog Show? I don't believe that is an official classification.
She's famous. She's on this show.
Yes, you mentioned that, but there's another dog on the show now that is not quite
Who's this
as
guy?
famous. I don't know. Is that a guy? Is that a boy? Is that
No, it's Sasha. It's still
Okay.
Sasha.
Who's this dog?
She's my friend.
Which just came out of nowhere. We're in the
Seriously.
commissary. We're in the Eden area. All of a sudden, I look down. There's a little dog. I'm like, we usually have the big dog. The big dog's not here. The little dog's here. Now, who's this little dog?
Joe Rose.
They'll both be here tomorrow.
I'm looking up a
So
list
will I.
of famous mutts on petplace.com. There's a whole list here. Spike from Old Yeller was a mutt.
the question I guess I'm asking you is, what is the greatest underdog story in the history of the Westminster Dog Show? A not purebred who climbs to the highest of rankings and competes and makes the crowd gasp because he or she was dirty and somehow made it to the top of the food chain.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Apparently, a mixed breed dog last year in 2024 won the agility competition at the Westminster Kennel Club.
I don't
Dog
like
Show.
any of that story.
Win the whole thing. I mean, Jesus.
That just I don't like the way those words came together.
Well, what I know about that dog show is that the agility thing is the single most impressive thing in the dog show. That if we're classifying these animals for being beautiful, the thing that they do on the agility drills suggests a discipline that makes me very frustrated with my own dog. And I can't imagine how it is that Greg Cody experiences Jumpin' Charlie, because Jumpin' Charlie is a bad boy.
No.
Yes, yes.
It's a good dog.
Yeah,
No,
good
he-
dog.
Yeah.
No,
JC.
wait.
He's a good dog.
Yeah,
Wait.
JC.
Yeah.
Greg.
Dogs want to be dumb, Dan. I don't know if you know that. If you have a good boy, a good girl, they're dumb.
Greg-
The smart dogs, they're not living
Jumping
happy
Charlie
lives.
is not a good boy.
It's jumping.
Jumping.
There's no G.
Apostrophe.
That's
Fine, yeah.
That's a fine.
Did you pay your fine?
You have to
I'm
send
about-
it on Venmo.
I'm about
You don't
to.
need to reach into your pocket.
As I recall, my fine is under dispute, raised by my attorney, Stugotz,
Thank you.
who says that because of the hurly-burly nature of my arrival.
Yep.
He's not in charge. He's not qualified. Him leveling an appeal or a challenge means nothing.
Yeah, speak to my attorney.
I think I'm in charge today, right? Why did you take Greg's phone to pay your fine? Greg is then
I'm going to
paying
pay
your
both
fine.
of them. I'm going to
Wow.
pay his fine and my
You're
fine.
going to pay
That's
it?
good.
Wow, thank
No,
you, Dan.
I'm not gonna
Look how
pay-
easy
I'll-
Venmo makes
I'll owe
this.
Dan money.
Unreal. Yeah.
I am not going to
Put it on my tab.
Nope, I'm not going to. I'm going to pay for yours on your Venmo, which I was told. Chris told me that your wife actually now has installed it.
You don't know how to get to my phone.
Yeah. Well, he's
I've got
holding
it
it
right
right
in
now.
my-
He grabbed it from
Right,
you.
but you need his
I don't know
code.
if you
That's
saw
it.
that.
I
Good
do-
luck guessing my code.
Really? You think it's going to be that hard? You think it's going to be really tough? Do you?
See if you're right.
Is that what it is?
Of course, it's every.
It
Way
can't be
to-
that. It
way
can't
to
be that
re-
obvious.
Way to reveal
you
all
guys
my
may-
private
you-
Yeah,
information.
yeah. I mean, I think
Edit
you
that
just
out.
Lord, he
Dan.
stopped himself. Dan
You
stopped
committed a
himself short on
crime,
that.
I think.
Edit that out.
That's right. For those of you who do not know that reference, I will tell you that story because it's one of the favorites I've ever told around here about Greg Cody. There was a very acerbic Minnesota Tribune columnist named Tom Powers, who was bitter from 30 years of Minnesota cold. And Greg Cody, in a really heartfelt moment, and I'm pretty sure that Greg Cody shut down emotionally after this in almost every way so that he becomes the man that you see before you today. But Greg Cody very emotionally was telling me and Tom Powers at a table about how he wanted to write a book, the book of his family, of his life, of the nostalgia, the romance, the mysticisms and the mysteries. And Tom Powers looks up at him, and the only thing Tom Powers says to an emotional Greg Cody is, "That sounds duller than dull."
What the hell does he know?
Powers was drunk at the time.
Probably.
Tom Powers is a great name for a fullback.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I have to admit. I give him credit for that. But
Put it on the poll, please.
Or a porn star.
Juju at Le Batard Show. Better occupation for someone named Tom Powers, fullback or porn star? At Le Batard Show. Greg Cody left here the other day, and I have remorse that I didn't get to this during Tuesday's show, because Greg Cody, who just belches content wherever it is that he goes, left on the table after Tuesday's show the following. He says, I think Tiger Woods should be allowed to play golf the rest of the way using a golf cart.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Stugotz and I are simpatico on that.
Yes.
First of all, everybody should be allowed to use a golf cart. It's ridiculous in 2025 that you have a bunch of golfers trailed by their manservant carrying their heavy bag, walking a 4,000-yard course, slowing the game down. It's ridiculous. Drive a cart like the rest of us. It would make pro golf more relatable to people. But if they're not going to make it universal, you make an exception for Tiger Woods.
You do. And I think the PGA Tour, the other players on tour would be okay with this, because you want Tiger in the tournaments. Tiger would never do it. He would never, ever take a golf cart. But I think if Tiger wants to be involved in these majors, wants to have a chance in these majors for the next 2 or 3 years, he needs to do it in a golf cart. The problem for Tiger is he cannot walk the course anymore. He just can't get around the course. Who was that?
It's his phone.
No, but that's you. You're doing that.
That code worked. The code worked. I was joking.
Yeah, Dan, it's the last 4 digits of his social security number. Of course it worked.
I was
I'll
joking.
be changing that code.
You don't know how.
I can't believe what you've done to this man. He's going to
I
have to
didn't
change
think it was
every password he has.
What I've done to
It's identity theft, I think.
anyone,
It is. Thank you,
anyone
Billy.
who knows the inner jokes of this show would absolutely know. I didn't know the code.
It would never occur to me.
I cracked the code by cracking the coding.
Greg Code.
That's what they called him. I found your Toomey bag online, Greg, if you want to know
Yeah,
how much
I'd
it's
love to
worth.
know.
If it's the model that I found, which is known as the Alpha. Your Alpha retails here on Toomey.com at $575.
That can't be true.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's a bag.
Let me see. Pass
Chris got
Stugotz
it
the
for you?
Alpha.
It's a
Yeah.
designer
give me the Alpha.
bag.
Let's see
Are
the
you
Alpha.
judging
The
your
Alpha
son?
bag.
Let's see the Alpha. I mean, probably TJ Maxx.
You don't
did.
think Chris
so,
does
let's say
well
one-
for himself, Greg?
172
Marshall
or
for
something.
sure.
Exactly right.
Probably a little less.
He
go
loves
over to the
sale.
luggage
On
section.
sale,
It's a
$50
small
probably.
bag.
Maybe.
And yeah, he had Yeti find it.
Let's see that. Hold on. That may not be the Alpha after all. Hold on a second.
That looks like a beta,
Not the Alpha.
not the
No?
alpha. Yeah, no.
Let me see.
Alpha's
Hold
gotta
that
be
up.
bigger.
Hold that up. No, that's not the Alpha.
Yeah, it's not.
I'll keep looking. I'm on it, Greg.
Alpha's
Don't
got
you worry.
3 sections, I think.
Dog
that
with
one's
the
only
bone
got
on this
1.
one.
Yeah, it's probably used.
Possibly.
You have
Probably
not
secondhand.
downloaded Venmo. You have not downloaded the app.
Arlene
you have not
did.
tried. No, nobody did. This-
Someone
Way-
did.
Way to
No, I-
root through my phone.
Yeah, this is
Look
an
at this
invasion
guy.
of privacy
the
or
nerve,
something.
The
Yeah.
nerve of this man.
All right, I have an idea. Dan, you Venmo'd Greg's fine, and then he'll Venmo you to cover for the fine that you Venmo'd
No,
for him.
not going to do it that way. I appreciate
Why?
you just trying to get us from A to B. That
I'm just
way.
trying to make
Yes,
sure we get
efficiently.
these
I'm
fines
just
paid,
gonna
keep
do it on
things
his
moving.
phone, and
Tell you guys this episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Just kind of getting point A to point B. You know what I mean?
Okay, now I have the problem of it's asking me to enter the password to his Apple account, and it's gonna send something to his email that has upset bird in it.
I would
cooked.
do maybe Jumpin' Charlie. Maybe add a symbol at the end.
JC, yeah.
All right, this is gonna be harder than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at this guy plumbing through my personal matters on the phone, while the other guy's looking through my documents in my travel bag,
Yeah,
or whatever
your
you call
Toomey.
that. What do
Yeah.
you call something like that? A satchel?
I think you just got to call it a Toomey. Once you have a Toomey, you just say my Toomey.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My homie.
Here are the only documents I found.
Yeah.
Look at this, amazing.
Ooh, what
the
are
only
those?
documents in the Toomey bag are a bunch of
Oh,
Greg Cody
stickers.
Show
That's currency.
stickers.
Damn
There
right.
it is.
When in Rome.
Greg
Yeah.
Cody
When the
Show.
meteorite
Look at
hits,
this.
people are going to be clamoring for
There it
those.
is, ladies and gentlemen. These
Thank
are
you.
very valuable. These are artifacts. What is on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody?
Yeah, by the way, those stickers are for sale in our merch store for the low, low price of $1 each.
Wow.
We have Izzy on, our friend of the show, FOS Izzy Gutierrez. We talk a lot about the Super Bowl, which came out was the day before we recorded, and fun stuff. I make a point that the Heat hit a home run with the whole Butler trade. I had to be negotiated down to a solo home run.
A home run.
A short porch solo home run.
That's a bloop single. A home run.
A
Short
bloop
porch.
single.
Yeah, it's a home run. What are you doing?
Wiggins is an under 30 guy who's made an all-star team.
Wait a minute.
Better than average defender. Mitchell is a supreme defender,
Yes,
arguably one of the best in the league.
And yesterday they scored
Go
8
off,
points.
King.
They scored 8 points in the fourth quarter after having another
The
game.
Thunder are really good, Dan. We mentioned it yesterday.
Right, and they
so
got a
Real
first-round draft
good.
pick.
Best team ever.
Yes, the Thunder are real good, and through 3 quarters, the Heat led by 10, and
Yeah,
then
they did.
the Thunder scored 7,000 straight points.
But we'll have those 3 quarters forever, Dan. Just like we had 22-13 in that first game, we'll have those 3 quarters forever.
They're a quarter away.
Oh,
The Heat, and it's an 8-point fourth quarter, which I didn't think they could do worse than the 9-point fourth quarter. But give them time. Give them time, because that's with Hero and Bam and what he's calling a home run of a trade.
Yeah.
A home run. Greg, a home run.
Short porch, he said, though.
Okay, here the alternative to that trade is, but they don't trade Butler. He stays on the team, poisons the rest of the season, and then leaves in free agency, and they get nothing for him. 0. What they did instead was they get rid of this toxic personality, and they get a good player, a great defender, and a first-round draft pick.
Home run.
They
I
did
think
have
that's
more
a home run.
options than that to start the season.
Short porch.
Short
Oh
porch.
yeah, I'm not retrofitting.
It was a 3-2 count at this point in time.
yeah. That's right.
I see that Nick Wright has popped up here, and we will get to him in a moment. I'm interested in a few things about Nick Wright. I'm interested in how he's experienced the last few days of turbulence and heartbreak, but I'm also genuinely interested in what he thinks when I ask you guys the question, does Travis Kelce leave that game and say those guys are better than we are? And if we played that game 100 times, that's how that would play out, because Andy Reid and Spags and Mahomes, there's not a thing they would figure out for that pass rush is getting there against 6 guys every time with 4 guys. And so I actually want to break down how do you hold the Kansas City Chiefs to 23 yards in a first half? Does that mean that Sirianni knows something that Andy Reid and Spags didn't know?
Well, I think he has the thing that you're talking about. He has the ability to rush that quarterback with 4 pass rushers, and that's a great ability to have. Maybe the most important thing in the NFL.
Fangs knows something. Even though we want to continue to discredit Fangs on this show.
But how can Kelce walk away thinking anything other than that team is a lot better than ours? I mean,
well, we'll see, because athletes are really confident, and those guys had to, be really confident to be champions, thinking that they're better than everyone. But when you say, Billy, that I keep discrediting,
No, I said we.
Okay,
We
keep discrediting Fangs. When a guy doesn't have to blitz all game and he's getting pressure with 4 all game, how much does the defensive coordinator have to do? When I'm asking,
boy.
I'm asking genuinely.
It's a game plan, Dan. They chose not to blitz.
Okay, but I mean, how many choices is he making? It didn't feel like Philadelphia was being fooled by anything.
Philadelphia is not being fooled by anything whatsoever.
Well, what are you
They
saying?
dominated.
Right. You're saying Fangs had nothing to do with it? It's Howie Roseman and the roster construction, which I think is the most important part of the Eagles team.
The part that I'm interested in discussing with Nick Wright, and we'll see what he has to say about all of this, is just the idea of a champion of 3 years, very worthy champion of 3 years, that had a constipated offense this year and didn't have a running game, could have done any number of things differently. But do you think the result would have been a lot different? That there would have, whatever things it is you guys are scheming up. Yes, Patrick Mahomes cannot have the 2 turnovers, sure, but those 2 turnovers are being caused by an unrest that we're not used to seeing from Patrick Mahomes. It was caused by something. It's not Patrick Mahomes suddenly forgot how to be a quarterback who's won 17 postseason games.
It was caused by Fangs.
It seems like that there's a button that the defensive coordinator presses that says blitz. And that's all they do during a game, is either they hit the button or they don't hit the button.
I understand that you're making fun of how simplified that is, and I do want to play some sound of Dominique Foxworth talking about how analytics have come to make the sport somehow less interesting to watch. But when you're talking about You get pressure with 4, it just makes a defensive coordinator's job very easy after that.
Right.
Like no matter what buttons he's pressing, they're going to look like they're the right buttons that have been pressed.
Can you blame Kansas City coming off back-to-back Super Bowls if they think to themselves collectively, if we play that team again next week, we're going to win? Okay, it's sports. You have aberrations in results. If the teams played again next week, it wouldn't shock me in the least if the Chiefs beat the Eagles.
I know, but Greg, a lot of teams could say that. If the Ravens play the Eagles this week, the Ravens would think they're going to win.
Right.
The Bills would
So
think
would the
they're going to
Bills.
win. The Bengals would think they're going to win.
Well, let's not get carried
They
away.
would think it, though. Joe Burrow would think it. I
Okay.
mean, he would.
I think the tough part is, obviously, the Eagles did a lot of great additions defensively with drafting a lot of guys. Cooper DeJean, they had Quinyon Mitchell, 2 incredible guys in their secondary. They were missing Nakobe Dean, too, who was out. Zach Bond was an incredible pickup for them. Their defensive line is great. Fangs was able to do stuff. During the watch-along that we had, Buffalo versus Kansas City, Mina said, hey, he didn't do that bad of a job, Fangs, in Miami. It was just a lot of injuries, a lot of weird stuff. He didn't have a lot of relationship with Jalen Ramsey. But we look at the Chiefs side, and I feel bad saying this because Nick Wright is over our shoulder. They were 12-0 in one-score games this year. That easily could have been a team that went 5-12. Right? Like, we're looking at a team that if things go the opposite way, this is a laughing stock of a team that doesn't make the playoffs.
That is a good place to enrage Nick Wright. I can't even imagine.
You like that, right?
In fact, let's go off the air right now. We will prepare. But you just saying to Nick Wright, who came on
You like
here,
that?
Nick Wright came on here. You're inciting him. You've lit a fuse that you're saying that Nick Wright, who was saying this is about to be a team for all time, best team ever. When you win 3 straight, you're saying they could have been 5-12.
Could have been 5-12.
All right, just to be clear, Nick Wright his face is going to explode next. Look at him. Look at him. He's ready. Tony is angling to be a Nick Wright rival. He says he's trying to incite the vanquisher to bring him out. Go ahead, Nick. What did you think? I saw you waiting, and I saw you getting agitated while we were talking. What are your thoughts? And welcome. Nice seeing you.
You too. Well, I was a little agitated, but only because I couldn't hear the content. So I don't know what you guys were talking about. And you and I, I'm a bad texter, but I assume you brought me on. Talk about that Bronny James step back. Oh, is LeBron such a bad dad now? Oh, young kid, got his sea legs under him out here cooking. We don't want to talk about any other alleged GOAT's children on this show. I know that, but my goodness gracious, how are you guys? I don't know what else. It's basketball season.
I'm sorry.
Basketball season.
Sorry for your loss.
You've transitioned, huh? I mean,
But oh, you want to talk about the Super Bowl? I mean, you guys are forward. This is new media. It's Thursday. We're in the 2025 football season. But I suppose we could look back. Dan, I should have known this might happen, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to reach behind me and hold up the thing I've always wanted my entire life, because I'm a child of the 80s. I respect physical print media.
Wow, a newspaper.
And days before the Super Bowl,
been a while.
this was in the Washington Post. You see that glorious picture right there? And if my life were a movie, that would have been the culmination of the montage of endless winning.
By the way,
everyone knows.
I need to tell people who didn't see the blur there that's a feature story on you, correct? As a
In a Louis Vuitton jacket?
that's you.
It's a feature story on me in a Louis Vuitton jacket that I bought from a guy in Copenhagen a year ago to wear to the Chiefs parade, about how. Well, listen. I don't. You guys can make fun of me all you want. I am an open book on this show. I think one of the reasons I come on this show, other than the fact that I love Dan, is I think it makes me more humanized. Now, do I occasionally imply to the audience I might have a little dispensable income to buy Louis Vuitton jackets from Europe or to gamble? Sure. But the audience gets it. I've deserved it. I've worked hard. Back to the story.
Yeah.
So, I've always wanted that. I've always wanted a newspaper article I can put in my office about me, in the Times, the Post, something. And the story was, the gist of it was, my career arc and a career theoretically taking off right alongside my hometown Chiefs team took off. It was almost too good to be true. And then it was. And now I have to deal with one of the worst Super Bowl performances of all time, which I can deal with. But what I am not as prepared to deal with as I shake in preemptive anger is folks that either just started watching football or total morons or just don't care about the truth, acting like, well, if a quarterback's that good, does he ever have that bad of a playoff game? And the answer is yes, every single one of them always. So I'm doing okay.
Before you came on, Tony was saying that because of the one-score game and 12-0, that the Chiefs could have easily been 5-12 this year.
Okay, yeah. I mean, listen, that's why Tony's on that side of the room.
No,
to not really pepper in those sports
come
takes.
on, Nick.
I mean, the thing is, like, I like Tony, but I'm just telling you, yes, I agree that if you turned their wins into losses, their record would have been worse.
That's all I'm saying.
It's definitely
all right.
true.
So, but what is the explanation, though, Nick? Because I was saying if you keep playing that game, I think it's going to keep going that way. I don't think Mahomes forgot how to play football. I don't think Andy Reid and Spags became stupid. I think Spags stopped what the Eagles do best, and I didn't think that anybody could do that. And what happened after that is just you got mauled the way every team would get mauled if those were the discrepancies on both lines.
So here's the thing, though. Those discrepancies shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have been that big of an edge. The Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago had the most sacks of any team in 30 years, or since the late 80s, I should say. So more than that. The Eagles this year were middle of the pack in sacks, and the Chiefs, while they had an issue at left tackle, and so they slid their guard over to tackle, it's not like they were the worst offensive line in football. We went into the 2020 Super Bowl saying, oh man, you got 4 backups on the offensive line. That could go poorly, and it did. So I credit the Eagles players and game plan and execution, but to answer your question, it's why it went the way it did is a twofold reason that we actually oddly have, for both of the two reasons I'm about to give you, an exact one-to-one corollary for it, which was the first reason is a very, very simple one that not that smart people will say to try to sound really smart, which is, if you can get home with 4, you really can hurt the great quarterbacks. Like, no, man. Yep. We understand the math of the game. The idea always, imagine if you could get home with 1. You drop 10. Like, the fewer you have to send and still create the pressure, the better it is. And the other reason is, for the first time all year, the moment got too big for him. And that, to me, and that includes Patrick. And people can say, oh, well, that's disqualifying. But here's the one-to-one example. Both of those exact two things, to the letter, happened in the only other football game of my life, not Greg Cody's life because his team did it, of my life, where a team walked onto the field and knew, if we win today, we're the greatest team of all time. How did the 07 Patriots unstoppable team lose? The Giants got home with 4, and Brady got shaky, and they only scored 14 points. They walked into that game knowing we win today, we're the greatest team of all time. How did the 2024 Chiefs lose? Eagles got home with 4, and the moment of we walk off the field today with a win, we're not the greatest single season team of all time, but we're the greatest team of all time this three-peat, and the moment got too big for him. And so that is what it is. It's heartbreaking that they played their worst game in the biggest moment, but the Eagles deserve credit, and I'm glad you pointed out the thing about Spags. I feel like the only Chief, and I'm sure he doesn't, but person involved with the Chiefs that could sleep easy was Spagnuolo, who did do a great job at what everyone, myself included, thought the key to the game would be, which is, can you slow down Barkley? They didn't slow down Barkley. They shut down Barkley, and it didn't matter.
Nick, you said earlier that, some of the great quarterbacks of all time have had a bad playoff game. And you're right, for the most part. Mahomes has had 2 now, and he's done it in the Super Bowl. He was bad against Tampa. Yeah. He was bad against Philadelphia. Twice now, Nick.
But we remember, the Tampa game's not fair, right? Like, he was running in circles toward his own end zone.
He had a rating of 32.3 in the game.
But Stugotz,
okay, hold on. So let me respond to both of these. Stugotz, you care about his passer rating in this game because it wasn't that bad? Or are you going to say, no, I watched the game, I know he played terribly? Because that's what I would say. But the numbers, look at the numbers. So don't do that. Don't be like, for this game, the numbers don't matter. And for the Tampa game that we all saw, the numbers do matter, because that would be ludicrous. However, let's talk about it. Because you're right. So let's just say the Tampa game was a terrible game. And you said most quarterbacks have had terrible playoff games. No, all quarterbacks have had terrible playoff games. And we do this weird thing, and this oddly does somehow end up coming down to what all sports conversations come down to, which is the lionization of Michael Jordan's career has polluted how everyone views sports, which is why when Tom Brady was going for the three-peat, and he played terribly and threw a pick 6 to let the game get out of hand and lost to Jake Plummer, no one cares because it was in round 2. And Joe Montana, when in the smack dab middle of his career, 3 straight years in the playoffs, 3 straight one-and-dones, 3 straight playoff games with 0 touchdowns total, 3 straight playoff games where back-to-back playoff games where his team scored 3 points, 3 straight playoff games where they were outscored by a combined 102-40. We can all be like, man, Joe Cool never played poorly in the Super Bowl. Well, maybe he would have if he hadn't played so terribly that they got whacked 49-3 in round 1. And so what we're not going to do is act like if you play your worst game of the year to prevent you from getting to the Super Bowl, that's fine. But if you play really well to get there and then play poorly, that's different. That's ludicrous. That would mean it would have been better for Patrick this year had he choked against Josh Allen last round instead of outplayed him and beaten him for the 4th time in the playoffs. Intellectually, we all know that's true, that each round you win is better than losing in that round. Why don't we accept that? Well, that's actually a Michael Jordan story.
Is Patrick Mahomes done?
I'm glad we have what Michael Jordan thinks about this. I didn't think we'd get to that point soon enough. You're red-faced, Nick. You're red-faced, and you're annoying again, because you're not wrong in what you're saying, but you're coming on here and you've been so wrong about how that was all going to end, that I think people want to see you batted around the way that you were on your own show.
Wrong, so here's the thing: how wrong I was compared to my contemporaries is actually the exact same logical argument. The question: am I more wrong for picking the Chiefs to make and win the Super Bowl than the folks, not naming names, but Rex Ryan and others, who said they were going to go one and done? Was I more wrong for having the wrong winner in the Super Bowl when I had the right team in it than Draymond Green, who said, I've seen teams like this, they get beat in the first round? So again, I get it, the stage gets bigger, the audience gets larger, so people have more eyes on it. And I've got to eat this one. And if people watch First Things First, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern on FS1, you should check it out. Well, I literally had confetti cannon shot in my face on national television. Yes. I had the runner-up of American Idol sing in my ear, Tom Brady is the GOAT, and I took it like a champ. Because Monday is the day for me to have to eat it. Tuesday is the day for me to kind of have to eat it. Wednesday and Thursday are the days for me to once again take on the heavy burden of the only sane person in sports media and pump the brakes on all the this never would happen to Brady. Brady threw 3 picks in the wild card round when he was 32 years old to lose to Joe Flacco. 3 picks in the first quarter, 33-14. Sorry.
I mean, it was obvious what happened in the game, which was the refs made that really bad call on the first drive, the offensive pass interference, and everyone saw, oh my God, they're gonna do this again. They're gonna give the Chiefs a Super Bowl. So the call came from New York. Hey guys, we got to make sure now that the Eagles win this game because everyone's onto us. We can't let them do it again. I mean, it's very obvious what happened there.
I'm sorry, you guys didn't have Jessica's mic on. You just had a total doofus talking for a minute there. It wasn't. Wires.
I mean, the
must have
jig
been
is up.
crossed.
We all know it's rigged, right? Like that's what happened. Mid game, they were like, we gotta write a new script. We gotta write a new script.
So here's the thing on that.
Oh no.
And now I'll just bring the mood of the room down.
Here we go.
I actually think engaging in any of that is tangibly bad for our business. So I don't even I think the reason we all get these awesome jobs and platforms and opportunities is because people credibly believe in the sport, and the fact that the players, the owner, the commissioner were all asked about this nonsense leading to the Super Bowl, I think was one of the true sour points of this NFL season. And again, if we the iconic image of this football game is Patrick Mahomes getting two hands dead to the face from Jalen Carter, and it's on NFL.com right now as like, what a play. And so we all know there's missed calls in the NFL. It's a shame to me that the Dove Kleinmans of the world have created this as a legitimate talking point.
I need to let you go now, but I think you just called.
I got 5 minutes.
Well, did you call Jess bad for business? Did you call? Is that what you just did after?
I mean, it's obviously rigged. I've been saying it all season, Dan. This is something I certainly believe in. So thank you, Nick, for really explaining to us why it's not a good thing.
No, I no. So here's the thing, and I don't mean to be harsh. And I was joking the last time I was on about Jess being added to the rivals list, but maybe I shouldn't have been. I know you're kidding. I know you're like now patronizing me and like trying to act like I missed it. I know you're kidding. It's very
Women can't make
rare
jokes.
a
They're not
conversation
funny.
goes on that I don't
they are bad
kind of
for
see
business.
everything that's happening in it. I am simply saying I think even the joking is tangibly bad for our industry. So is Jessica individually bad for the industry?
Ridiculous.
No, you called
She
her.
is.
You
She
called
Called her a
Of course
doofus.
not.
You did call her a doofus.
name
You did
calling.
He's right.
Name caller.
Well, doofus is, I think, the kindest of the insults.
Okay.
Throw that on the poll.
All right.
What's the meanest,
Put
Nick?
it on the poll. No, thank you, Billy. Thanks for all your
Whoa.
help there. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. is doofus the kindest of the insults? So let me let you off on this note. I wanted to talk basketball. We'll talk a number of different things. But you are choosing, I believe this is where your ego gets the best of you, as it sometimes does for all of us. You are choosing to be right and resolute in your firm belief that Kansas City Chiefs team is so good that it would never think itself a lesser team to what it is that Philadelphia was, that if they played that game 100 times, you couldn't be so wrong that they would lose it 100 times. But what you're choosing is to tell me that Patrick Mahomes straight out choked. If the moment is too big for Patrick Mahomes, then it's too big for everybody. And I think you're taking the result to do that. I don't think you actually believe that.
No, so here's what I don't say anything I don't believe. Here's what I believe. I believe in that game, the mismatch, what played out, even though I don't think it's a on paper mismatch. The mismatch between their offensive line and the Chiefs' defensive line was going to win Philadelphia the game. Patrick playing his worst game in a couple years is what led it to be a blowout. And when you're saying if Patrick can't handle it, no one can handle it, that's why I brought up the 07 Patriots, is because every other team that has had the weight of a three-peat on their shoulders has crumbled, and every other one crumbled at a stage earlier than the Super Bowl. The closest a team ever came was the 99ers, who the third best player on their team on a very normal play just fumbled the ball with minutes left and they lost. That's how they lost. So that, like, I don't think it's an indictment on Patrick, but I do think it's the reality. And then every team that has gone for an undefeated season, except for Greg Cody's team, is 60 years
Nick,
ago.
how is that not?
55 years
Nick,
ago,
how,
pardon
Nick,
me.
how is that not an indictment? You're saying that Patrick Mahomes choked. Like, how is that not an indictment?
He's supposed to be different, Nick.
Well, hold on. He can be different than every other active quarterback and different than basically every other all-time quarterback and still not immune to any of this. Like, I felt Brady choked in 07.
Okay, but you're saying flatly that your quarterback, your beloved quarterback, a champion, that his mental strength wasn't strong enough, not just for the pass rush, for the moment.
Yeah, I think the moment got to the entire team. I do.
But that's choking. You're saying, instead of saying you're wrong, you're saying your team choked.
No, hold on. No, hold on. I am definitively wrong. I thought they would win. I thought they would win by 10. I am not running from being wrong about this football game. What I am saying is I don't look at individual one-off instances of the moment got to us as being an indictment of a player as a whole. The greatest athlete I've ever seen in my life but choked in 2011. It doesn't at all change how I view him. Now, and so, like, maybe I view it differently than others. Repeated choking is a totally different thing. And that's why you push back and I push back. I don't view this like I thought Patrick played well in the 2020 Super Bowl, and the stats don't back it up. The video does. That, to me, was not at all anything like this in any way, shape, or form. But it's not that I'm trying to slough blame onto them to save myself. I was the wrongest person in sports media about this game.
No, but Nick, I'm not talking about the game. I'm saying that to say that Patrick Mahomes choked in this spot was not mentally right for it isn't about this game. It's about your having to be wrong about what you think this team is.
No, right. And this is where I'm telling you, like, I disagree with your analysis of my analysis. I do not think there is.
That's a great T-shirt. That is a great T-shirt. I disagree with your analysis of my analysis.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do. And I haven't said the word choked. You keep throwing out choked.
No, then what is choked? What is the moment?
Insinuating.
Come on, Nick. You haven't said it because they're your team. The moment's too big for them is saying it. Like you're just putting it in rose-colored homerism.
Oh, I reject that as well. The moment got too big.
That's choking. That is choking. That's the definition.
Maybe.
Say it, Nick. Just say it. You'll feel better. You'll feel better. Just say it.
How is that not what is the definition of choking?
Well, I don't. Jess, why don't you look that up? You're not doing anything right now.
Bane was going to make a really inappropriate joke, and he decided not to.
See you later, Nick. Good seeing you. Every day, 3 to 5 Eastern.
Yeah, and so and subscribe to What's Driving the Great. And lastly, who should I apologize to, Tony or Jessica? I can't have them both against me.
The Doofus.
I'm good. You don't have to apologize to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Jessica, I shouldn't have called you a doofus.
I don't want an apology from you.
Whoa.
We're enemies.
Rejected.
Wow.
Rivals.
No.
Enemies.
Rivals.
Rivals.
Not enemies.
You're
You
right.
sons of bitches. Good luck.
There's you and the choker. Hey.
This is unbelievable. Okay. How did everyone think that went? He does our job for us when he comes on here. He's always entertaining. I really always enjoy listening to him.
I just heard Michael Jordan so many times, I just tuned out after that.
Yeah.
I perked up.
Yeah. He called Tom Brady a choker, which I thought was an understated nugget.
Well, but can we examine this part of it for a second? Because I'm going to object to the analysis of a quarterback we were all saying before the game. Like, this is... Before that game, all of us are saying, you know what? I just saw Tom Brady go to 10 Super Bowls, and he won 7 of them, and he's clearly the greatest of all the greatest, knowing how to win. But Mahomes is coming for him, and if he gets this one, I'm going to put him in the conversation because he's doing it faster. Knows how to win, knows how to win. The Chiefs were favored in that game because everyone bet on knows how to win. The empirics of that.
They bet on him. Yes.
But the money, that's unusual, right? It's one thing for gas bags to talk about a game and have an opinion about it. Where the money goes on something, we could definitively look at the analytics, and let's get that Dominique Foxworth sound so I can ask all of you guys who it is that you enjoy hearing from on football analytics that have sort of corroded the game in some sewage that I know, some learning that Greg Cody and Stugotz do not want. But the Chiefs were favored in that game by 1 point, and America would tell you that that is only because Patrick Mahomes knows how to do something with Andy Reid that other teams simply don't know how to do. Like, you can analyze it all the other ways you want, but they're like, oh, we've doubted them all year. They win those 2 playoff games. They just beat the Bills. Okay, they're favored in the game. Then you watch the game, and you're like, why were they favored? And why would it be that obvious that they should not have been favored? And now we all go back and re-examine and do the thing of I agree with your analysis, but I disagree of your analysis of my analysis, which I want to be a T-shirt, by the way, at LeBatardAF.com. Yeah. It's a good new show. I disagree with your analysis of my analysis is a good name for a show.
It is, yeah.
A little wordy.
Yes, agreed, but funny.
I love the wordiness.
Be like, guys, everything is an acronym. ID. A-G, there's too many letters.
Still wordy, yeah.
It's fair to say, though, that betting line late in the week went from 2.5 to 1, which is a pretty big drop. There was a lot of late money, smart money going in on Philadelphia. I personally picked the Eagles to win. I think they had a much better roster, but I reject, as Nick Wright rejected, I reject the idea that just because you lose a game and have a bad performance, it means you choked.
Okay, but,
I don't think that's the case.
But can I do this with you guys then? Because I really do want to parse something here in the biggest game and then put it to bed. The way that the analysis works on these games where we're all talking so much about what is and isn't going to happen, what I'm asking you is, guys, you all told me, everyone said, this is a quarterback for all time on knows how to win. And now their biggest public fan is on our show saying, well, on this one time, not only did he not know how to win, he forgot all the things about knowing how to win, panicked, and then the game was over.
Wait, Eric Stone Street came on?
So tell me what that is. Is that what we're going to do? Is that what we're going to do to his legacy? That it's one game and, I can't unsee that, and never mind all the things that I've thought about for the last 3 years. He choked. He wasn't mentally strong enough for a big moment.
The most predictable narrative in America coming out of that game was that A, the Chiefs dynasty is done, and B, here come the Eagles, the next dynasty. Neither one of those things is automatically true. And it wouldn't surprise me if both of them proved to be false. I can't overemphasize that it's sports. If the Chiefs played the Eagles next week and the Chiefs won, nobody should be surprised.
Why does it have to be one or the other? I feel like we're being put in a spot where it's like, well, if he chokes, he's going to be a choker forever. He didn't have a good game. He choked in this game, but I don't think anyone's questioning his greatness.
It's been twice now in Super Bowls where he's had a bad game.
Okay.
Nick was talking about other great quarterbacks having bad games. They weren't in Super Bowls. They were in wild card games.
But he's also won 3. Who cares? And he's probably going to win again at some point.
I think he is an all-time great. I don't think this impacts his legacy. It only impacts his legacy in terms of chasing Tom Brady. That's it. I
just think we're doing
he's never going to catch Tom Brady.
How?
It's just the typical
Tom Brady lost to
media.
Eli Manning twice.
I understand that.
And Nick Foles.
Tom
Brady's world killers.
Tom Brady did not play that poorly as Mahomes did in this past Super Bowl.
He's
in any of those
Stugotz.
losses.
He's 29, and we're doing the sports media thing where we're judging his career when it's maybe not even halfway over. I understand, we need something to talk about. It was a blowout. The game was not that interesting. It wasn't that fun. After the first quarter, we were all like, yikes. But, he's 29. What else can you say other than, he's probably got, 10-plus years of doing this.
That's no
Chances
fun,
are he's going to be pretty good. I know it's not fun, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
It is the truth, and it is not fun. And when Billy says, why does it have to be one or another or the other, I would say that's another good name for a sports show. It has to be one or the other. It can't. When you ask why, no. That's the whole thing, Billy. You don't get argument television. You don't. This is another version of
can't be both.
How are we going to morph the LeBron Michael Jordan debate? Jessica's tuning out on Michael Jordan debates because we've been doing it on 20 years on television. No, and everybody is. Everybody's tuning out except for Stugotz.
Yeah.
Because somehow the Last Dance. Look, we'll get tired of any excellence, and now it's happened to the Last Dance. It happened to the Patriots. It happened to the Chiefs. We will bore with your excellence, and now it's happened to Michael Jordan.
This is perfect, though, right? Because LeBron, his career coming to an end. He's 40. He's about to be done. So we're not having the active LeBron chasing Jordan conversation. That's done and dusted. We need another active player chasing a ghost. Perfect insert Pat Mahomes, who's now lost a Super Bowl, and his chase against Brady. I mean, this could not be better for sports
maybe
media.
All the sports commissioners come together and they script the Eagles winning
Yes.
this game so that we have a new debate topic. Do you ever think about that, Dan?
Okay,
This is good for basketball. This is good for
good for
football.
everybody.
This is good
Good
for
for
everybody.
everything.
We're
Yeah.
having GOAT debates
Good for
across
business.
sports.
He accused us and you of being bad for business. He accused me of having dumb, smart analysis of, yes, pressure with 4 changes things. Because that's why I was
It does, though.
That was a cheap shot.
It
That was
does.
just-
Good analysis.
Yes, it is also true, but not fun. And especially not fun for Patrick Mahomes. But I want to ask you guys, based on the previous conversation that we were having about the nature of anxiety, right? Because the definition of choking is that the anxiety gets to you and you're not able to overcome it. We were talking about this earlier, and I want to ask you guys. I saw that Colin Cowherd is saying that Kevin Durant has basically ruined his career by the way that his career has played out with some of the choices that he made. But Kevin Durant, when we
10 years late to that party.
but I want to ask you about
Jesus.
I want to ask all of you about the corrosive effects of whatever it is that makes us bore with excellence faster because the way things are just going, where it becomes so pressurized for Kevin Durant that even 4 years of winning easy basketball next to Draymond Green is something he has to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, and don't send me back there. I've told you that Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller said of that 4-year run with LeBron, that was no fun. Like we celebrate, like none of that was going to work with joy. That was all anxiety. It was overcoming anxiety, but it was all bad, the way that felt. And now Nick's telling you, do you know how hard it is to do this in the physical sport 3 straight times because of the drain of whatever the expectations are of every weekly anxiety? I know we think of these people as unhuman, as Tom Brady likes to call them. But these people were fighting through pain to get to the end of things and also dealing with whatever the repressions are of, I don't know when I'm anxious. I'm supposed to overcome anxious. My entire training is don't choke in that moment. And now the biggest Chiefs fan that there is on here saying, there was some mental frailty there. And I'm just
Paul
wondering.
Rudd was on?
I'm just wondering if you guys absorb the nature of the anxiety and what the accusation is when you say one of these people is not strong enough to overcome these things. Because choking, that's what you're calling that person weak. It's what you're doing.
Well, he's saying he had a weak moment, maybe. We
A weak
have
game,
enough.
a weak moment in a time for his legacy and the way we do the measurements.
Isn't he saying that they all had sort of a weak moment, weak game, the coaching staff, every player on the team, and Patrick Mahomes, that everybody came out and performed poorly? Because when that's the case and it's the full team and you're being pressured with 4, you're probably not going to succeed. That doesn't mean you're a choke artist now.
I think it's totally unfair to expect athletes, great athletes, to be superhuman relentlessly and not allow them the occasional bad game, albeit even if it comes in a Super Bowl. He's human. People have bad games. Saquon Barkley ran in mud. He had 57 yards on 25 carries.
The part, though, that bothers me about people have bad games, he had a bad game. There was no quarterback under that situation that was going to have a good one. He doesn't exist. He's never played the sport. And then we make our examinations after that. No one, maybe I'll say someone can play a good game because Lamar Jackson might be doing something running around away from defensive linemen that I can't explain, or Josh Allen might be able to do something, but those conditions for a quarterback in the Super Bowl, an avalanche for all of them who have ever played. And you can see it in Patrick's feet in the second quarter. It's not because he went mentally frail. It's because the Eagles did that to him.
And I think that's kind of the part that we were missing with the whole Patrick Mahomes conversation is the Eagles just had a very, very, very elite team. Like top to bottom, offensively, defensively, there were no holes in that team. The one hole they had was probably their kicker, right? Every other position group is elite. And it's like, that's the story. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes, but insert any other quarterback, and they're having problems with Josh Sweat, with BG, with Jalen Carter, with all these guys.
Thank you, Tony. It's so weird what we're doing. We're making excuses and trying to figure out why the Chiefs lost the game. They lost the game because the Eagles are better.
Well, let me ask all
a lot better.
Let me ask you all of this because that's easy to say now. I want to tell you.
I said it before.
Yes, you were early. Yes,
3
you were
years,
early. Yes, Greg Cody told you that he predicted the game correctly.
I did,
yes,
I predicted this game 3 years
that's
ago.
Right. That's right. He was ahead of everybody on that. I want to tell you guys a story from when I didn't know what I was doing as I'm going to say I was 14 or 15 years old, and I was coaching a football team of, kids at a local Optimist. And that season, we went undefeated all season because I had a really good quarterback. I had the best quarterback, and we were one of the few teams that actually had an ability to have a passing offense. But and we'd beaten one team twice during the season. But this is where I realized that I was a really lousy coach. In the championship game against the team that we'd blown out with all of our fancy passing, like in the second quarter of that game, I fully realized, I don't know what I'm doing. They know all the things that we're going to do, and I don't have any moves. I'm 14 years old. Like, I just had the best quarterback, and so now I'm losing by a lot, and there is nothing I can do about it. I have no answers. I'm just watching it, and I'm like, how is this happening? That's what Andy Reid felt like on Sunday.
Wow. So you choked. That's what happened.
Well, no, I just didn't know enough.
You choked.
Right.
I didn't know enough.
So you're saying Andy Reid didn't know enough, huh?
That's choking.
You choked.
Le Batard choked in the big game.
Who lets a 14-year-old coach? Football of
I was
all
a very
things.
responsible
Different
14-year-old.
times back
it would
then,
plague
too,
me
Dan.
my entire life, the ability to
You
take
as
on
coach
tasks.
is funny,
Were you like
man.
in a suit on the sideline? Did you have a clipboard?
Headset,
How did this
headset,
work?
What'd you do?
Bike
Coach
shorts.
Dan.
I've got short shorts, tube socks, tucked in polo.
I did have bike shorts at one point.
bike shorts.
Wow.
did
Red.
have-
I feel
I knew
like
it.
they were red,
Respect
right?
the game, man.
wait a minute. I might have the shorts wrong. The coaching shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the bike
yeah.
ones.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
bike-
we know, we know.
Aren't
Right.
bike
But they're
shorts
short.
bicycle shorts?
No,
I
no,
thought,
no. Bike the brand.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Bike shorts are bicycle shorts.
Like Sophie's.
They're like they're
The
they're
coaching
tight.
shorts.
Yeah,
You
the
guys-
coaching shorts.
Are
We knew what
those,
you meant.
Are those synonyms? I'm asking.
I've never heard of bike
find out.
shorts.
Every coach has bike shorts. They're not tight bike shorts. They're the loose, but they're bike brand.
Bike the brand.
Bike the
yeah.
brand, not
they're,
the
they're basically,
activity.
They're like cut off baseball pants.
Yes,
essentially.
exactly. Same material, like a
Yeah.
canvas almost.
It's an important distinction.
I was babysitting Frankie Lucido, and he was an
Frankie.
excellent athlete, at least in part because every day we were doing things. Our T-ball team was able at the end of a season to actually get the third baseman to throw it to the pitcher, to throw it to the first baseman successfully to get a kid running from the tee box into the dugout instead of toward first base, because this is what I was doing with portions of my childhood. What part of this are you guys not?
You weren't eager to get your
understanding?
hand in the dirt. I mean, at 14, most kids are trying to play this.
I was
sport.
also
you're coaching?
I was also playing.
Player
Dandy.
coach.
Wow.
Dandy Reid.
Dandy Reid. Were you fired after that game? After
Yeah.
you blew the championship game? Do they fire 14-year-olds? Because I feel like
You should have been fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had the best quarterback.
Who had the line Dandy Reid, and where did it come from, and why was it given to two people at the same time?
It came from Mally.
Okay, all right. Don't do that anymore, okay? Gentlemen.
It's a good line.
Yes,
Mally,
I-
well
That's
done.
really good, Dan. You gotta let him go.
Listen,
I don't blame Allie.
Andy Reid.
I agree. Look, you guys are. I agree. You guys are not questioning the process. I'm questioning the process. What I don't want, okay, while I will acknowledge that Dandy Reid is good,
Mally.
I don't want from another room somebody shouting to two of my co-hosts, one of whom could be disoriented,
Yeah.
at the same time, the same line, so that they say it at the same time.
Stugotz is not disoriented. Plus, he said it first. I was
Yeah.
just echoing him. I was
Thank you.
reiterating what a great line Stugotz came up with.
Thank you. So nice we said it twice.
Yeah, I was
We
jealous.
can't have that room deciding these things. It's hard enough to wrangle these two on a Wild Billy Thursday without the help of Mally, who we've just introduced to the audience.
Let Mally live. He's apparently an Eagles fan. This has been a great week for him,
ouch.
even though he's from New York City and also is a Heat fan.
And a Mets fan.
But
Which
big week for him.
do you think feels better to Mally? Winning the Super Bowl or getting these two clowns to say Dandy Reid at the same time? That's a Metal-Arc achievement right there. As we celebrate 20 years around here in this particular room with my friends who are beat up and tired and have a lot to do. Greg Cody's got to run out of here in a little bit before the chefs get here. Stugotz has to run out of here because he's got a ton of things to do with God Bless Football, which is growing and great. And Chris Sims is great. And Bomani Jones is on a recent episode, and that's great. And as they get tired and stuff and get beat up, running, trying to make this a video company as well as an audio company, I am reminded of the most wonderful times in this show's history when it behaved as only a radio show, only a thing that was heard, that didn't behave as if it was watched and was intimate, watched. Intimate because it was heard. And I close my eyes during the break and I hear that show sometimes when Stugotz is talking to whomever it is that he's talking to off the air. And when my eyes are closed, it sounds like the voice of the devil wandering around trying to tempt people into bad things. And so what I just heard that put a smile on my face while my eyes were closed, and I had gotten the breath, the blessed relief of Stugotz not machine gun talking at everybody all day. I heard our radio show when he simply said to somebody, I do not know who it is, Google obscure porn names and see if any of them sound like a fullback.
That was me.
He was talking to you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're looking for a
yes.
potential new game.
Yes.
Fullback or porn star.
Yes.
I thought he was talking to Mally because now
Nah,
all of us.
nah.
So what I'm telling you about what's happening around here, because we got so much spinning around at all times. The audio Stugotz, and please video. Let's check in right now with Jessica as she shovels oatmeal into her face. She's taken. She was very good about waiting today instead of eating it like the bird seed last week. But you must be hungry. We've gone 2 very fast hours, and there hasn't been a lot of fuel around here.
I made the mistake of making oatmeal today for my granola. It's like a oat on oat with oat milk crime, I guess. And it takes 5 to 10 minutes to like steep in the little cup. So the whole break I was just waiting for it to be ready. And now it's finally ready, but the show's about to start. But if I wait a half hour, it's going to be cold. So I
Right.
have to
That's
eat it. And I
gross.
really don't have
yeah.
a choice.
Cold
Yeah.
is cold
No
is
choice.
gross.
And I've heard that people really like when I'm eating on air. They like the sound of me chewing while I talk.
Is there honey on that? Do you put? How do you sweeten that up, or is it just oats
It's
on
very
oats
sweet.
on oats?
It's my granola has a nice little brown sugar maple flavor, so it's very sweet, Dan.
JT Blondie Black. Fullback or porn star? Blondie Black.
Keep working on it. We will see if what we can get off the ground there.
Fullback.
Fullback.
Oh, what a new game.
I think it's a good game.
Thank you, Dan.
I think it's got some potential.
Porn
that
star
can-
or fullback.
Or we could do it this way. We can listen to Dominique Foxworth here, and I want to get the analysis of the group on this, and I will see if I agree with your analysis or if I disagree with your analysis of my analysis. But let's see Dominique Foxworth talking about whether or not analytics have made the game less fun to cover, talk about, watch.
Probably like 3 factions or I guess disciplines of NFL media, and it's one like the guys who are probably closer to how we were when we were like teenagers and preteens, where it's like that's just dope. Like it does, like you're just like excited because something's cool. Like you read a couple articles here or there, but you don't live and breathe this stuff. You're not like a crazy sports gambler. You're like, this is really cool, and it's just like the basic fan. And then there's like an advanced level of it, I would guess. And that there is like the ball watchers and the jargon users and the film guys, which I think these 2 groups are the ones that I think offend Charlie specifically more than the other ones. And then there's the other group where it's like a like this is homework, where it's like the stats nerds where they just kind of suck all the fun out of it. And I think, or not all the fun out of it, where they're looking to solve the problem, which like
speak definitively on topics.
Yeah.
There, take out the gray area of a game that's really complicated.
And I can speak to this specifically because I think when I first got into media, like I recognized that I am who I am, so I try to overcompensate. Like my own personal insecurity is like, oh no, you guys aren't smarter than me. I can get as deep into these analytics as anybody can. And then I realized that I started dreading like getting ready for this because it was much more fun to watch the game and then be like, you know what? This is dope. Now let me go find what the numbers say about this particular player or this player, because you know what? The reason why we like sports is because it's cool, and somebody did something that was cool or interesting that drove me to want to go into it. Like going the other way, I think sometimes is problematic.
Yeah, it sounded like he was sort of seeing both sides, seeing the value in all of it, and at the same time being afraid of it. I'm totally afraid of it and don't see the value in it. I think it has ruined sports watching in a way because you get extraneous information that's too much. I don't have the bandwidth to give a whether a running back is running 18.6 miles an hour or 19.4 miles an hour.
Well, you're just cleaning up in late life the clutter that is in your mind. You don't have time for those things in the attic.
Right.
Like you're doing some house cleaning and
Yes.
you're like, I'm tapped out on all of this.
Yeah.
I've got enough information. More information is not helpful. So you're making anything that's more information, you're making it extraneous.
The last advancement in analytics that I condone is when baseball invented a way to sort of combine slugging percentage and on-base percentage. I thought that was pretty cool because that combined the guy who knows how to take a walk,
Yep.
the guy who
OPS.
OPS,
That,
Greg,
that's the stat. Jessica's laughing through her oatmeal at the idea that that's the one that you
That's
thought
right.
was the cool one.
She's snorting oatmeal.
OPS.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about OPS Plus?
It's too much.
I'm again it.
How do you
What
feel about
about-
OPP?
Oat PS.
I like that.
Hey,
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Billy thought he was going to sneak that past me. I'm hip.
Yeah, but
I'm
people
hip.
thought that you're hip because you know naughty by nature.
Baby.
You're hip because you know something from the early 90s.
Damn right I did. Yeah, you know me.
It's a good song. I'll turn it
It's
up
a
every.
great song.
I'll turn it up every time it's in my car.
Great song.
Your
Collaborate and listen. That's another song I always turn up. Vanilla Ice.
That's different, and
for
we
him.
should stop talking about this now.
I listened to this podcast yesterday on my run, and I thought they did a really good job of explaining, like, you know, what sort of resonates with people listening. Because there are people that are really good at incorporating analytics into their analysis and not just sort of rattling off stats that most people just kind of tune out of because they don't really understand what they're listening to. But there's like sort of a like different schools of thought, and like for me, like I think that, you know, trying to remember that most people are watching the game because they like to watch the plays and they like the players, and it's very like person focused is kind of how I enjoy it, and how I think most people enjoy it. And then if you have like a stat or something cool to back up what you're watching, that seems to be a good way to blend the two. But it's very difficult to do it well, especially to do it on the fly, like when you're watching a game, which is why, like, you know, there are certain people that are very, very good at doing that, like the color commentators of the world, not named Tom Brady. And it's a very difficult job.
I think if you look at sports, there's only a certain faction of people that can look at sports in the matrix sense of zeros and ones, right? I feel like if you work for the team and your job is to figure out, all right, this guy is better than this guy because of this reason, that's when you can look at sports as just a binary set of numbers. Everybody else should be vibes, right? Like, that's what we should be doing. We should be watching the games and be like, wow, Josh Allen, I don't know how to quantify that he's 6'5" and he could just be unstoppable at running. No, I know, except when he runs.
Quantifying the 6'5" is easy.
Right, of course, but the quantifying the part where
You just
why
measure.
does he go to the left every time and then get stopped instead of going straight forward? That's the part where I'm like, all right, somebody explain to me why he just keeps going left.
One of my favorite things between Billy and Tony, it's been happening since I met Tony. When Tony geeks out on sports and gets excited about sports and makes a bunch of threes on Instagram, Billy gets there in a hurry to be like, you shouldn't be that serious about sports.
Right.
That's geeking out as him saying people should be about vibes.
Well, no, he's just excited about what he's talking about. Tony is still excited by sports.
Yeah. He had a kid and he just needs to talk to someone is what's going on. So now he has a microphone. He's like, oh, and just saying everything's popping
All
into
right,
his head. Exactly right.
But because he's passionate about football is one of his wheelhouses. Football is where he gets to unravel some of his personality and what Jessica's talking about. She says it's hard. Can you, in short bursts, give me information and entertain me so that I want to listen when you're talking and you're not droning? But you mentioned, Jessica, schools of thought, and I do believe that people do not want schools with their football unless they're around the NIL money. Like, they don't want to think of classrooms. They don't actually want to think too much about thought, but that part is confusing to me because we have an industrial complex that really feeds this thing that is filled with thought. So at the beginning, Stugotz, of my radio career, one of the things that I was doing is I was talking to Billy Beane about Moneyball. I was doing a lot on the air, off the air, and Billy Beane was like sort of interested in the way that mainstream media wasn't interested in the math of what it is that he was doing at a time that he was, exploiting inefficiencies in his business model.
The economy of sports, really.
Well, but also somebody who's doing this stuff we're talking about, measurements.
Yes.
Like where Billy Beane's trading for a player in the minor leagues and never sees him play. He's just looking at numbers on a sheet. And so we're doing this to sports with fantasy and everywhere we do it, where we get impatient with the Chiefs with 3 years of excellence because it's like, I want to analyze all this, but the excellence, keep entertaining me, keep giving me more. But Greg's saying not more numbers, not more math, not more information. And I think Dominique is right when he's saying the best parts of sports are where Tony geeks out because somebody makes an amazing catch. You don't need to quantify it. You can't quantify it.
Dominique needs to name names because he's very much dancing around. He has people in mind, and he's afraid to say the names of the people he has in mind, and he's dancing around it for some reason.
Like who?
There's some of his coworkers, probably.
Some of his coworkers, some of his friends, guests on this show.
I want you to name a name.
Aaron Schatz.
All right.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Go ahead and find that. If you do have that music executive producer at your disposal, if you're going to do shots fired, you can put audio. Yeah, don't worry about the radio audience.
They also talked on the
Just get your shots
podcast with Brian Curtis about like if sports coverage, especially like football's gotten better or worse, and he was like, well, both. Like you can find really good stuff in podcasts or written form or on a Substack or whatever that like you couldn't find like 20 years ago. It wouldn't be in the newspaper or wouldn't be like on, the ESPN home site. But you can also find like way worse coverage. Like you can find the dumbest, like most overly simplified or just bad coverage of a play that's just incorrect and wrong because the access to posting that stuff's gotten a lot easier too. So, I mean, there really is something out there for everyone, which, is maybe good and also bad if you're trying to actually understand what you're watching.
You, though, I believe, in terms of the people that we have here in this room, I believe amongst all of us, maybe Tony would have an objection to this, but I believe that you care enough about this sport and being more informed about this sport because you're passionate about it, that you glide effortlessly between both of these worlds on wanting to be more informed, wanting to learn, not having the learning spoil your enjoyment, and then gravitate toward the people who are giving you that information in the smartest and most entertaining way. I would imagine that you're doing something that not a lot of people in this room are doing, where they are seeking out some of the higher, better information to go with their candy.
Yeah, and even that, I'm like, I wonder how much to even incorporate into like Lucy and I do like a 25-minute college football segment. When I watch games on Saturdays, I'm always looking at Game on Paper, which is a great website where they break down all of the different like advanced stats for every FBS college football game that weekend. And like I'll go back and I'll look at like what was this team's success rate? How does this team rank here? How does this team rank there? And like sometimes it just like won't even come up. We don't have time to really talk about all of that, but you could also just look at it and be like, this team, like if you watch the game, you might have thought like it was not a great offensive performance, but the stats actually show that it was pretty good. What is like an accessible statistic you can use? Like, is it just something like, how many times did they convert on third down? Like how many times did they do this or that? Like you can sort of find easier ways to explain it sometimes. But I even wonder like, how many people really care about that sort of thing, or do they just want to laugh at like, look at this funny blocked punt in this college football game?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just something that everyone has to find the balance
Well,
of.
I would say, though, that one of the things that has to happen in the consumption of this information, specifically in the modern age, Stugotz, because there are more avenues to your information and more menu choices than you have ever had. But I think what ends up happening is that somebody either likes you or believes in the way that you're chewing all of this up and regurgitating it. Like I understand why it is that you would be hesitant to get caught in the weeds for 75 seconds talking math in a way that is an obvious tune-out. But over time, people will trust that you are informed enough with the right numbers, and you will change their minds on things with things that you have learned because you're able to back it up with facts, that the open-minded will then become fans of consuming football through a different person. Orlovsky has done this exceptionally. He has changed the way that people view Orlovsky. And I know people make fun of him at ESPN, and I know that he's guilty of this thing that you're accusing Dominique of, which he doesn't want to criticize anybody in a profession where he still wants jobs, which is a really hard needle to thread on how you do criticism in public. You better be good at the other stuff. Giving people your weird, giving people your personality, having strong opinions. If you're going to have what was his quarterback credibility, which is you don't know how to do this, you ran out of the back of the end zone, to no, you're an expert, and I trust your expertise because you're giving it to me in a way that's both digestible and entertaining in a way that impresses me. And furthermore, you don't seem to want to work in this business. You seem to want to work in football for real, not off to the side in the middle of it. That's how much you love what it is that you're watching, that you're not actually being very critical of some of the people in the way your colleagues are.
Billy's afraid to say it's Mina. I mean,
is it?
Mina's actually the best example of like doing it all well. Like she can break down things really well, but also just explain it like regularly, and it's not like you're like, what the hell is she talking about?
Right.
So good. I mean, good for Mina.
Dan, I'm all for advanced metrics as long as someone can explain them to me in a way that I can understand, that I can digest them, and they have impact on what it is I'm actually watching. To Greg's point, I don't need 18 miles per hour.
Stugotz,
I don't care how fast you're running. Are you scoring touchdowns?
Yes.
I don't care how quickly you get there.
Thank you.
Are you scoring 6 points? That's all I care. And Tony is so right about the vibe. I love Tony Romo. That's how fans love football. It's a vibe. Big play, right, Jim? Yes.
They're down here.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Tony
saying to my
Romo's
wife.
Another good example, though.
Right.
Great vibes.
Great vibes.
He can explain what's happening on a play, and he's not gonna get like super bogged down and stuff. And then he also just will say like he'll make a weird noise, and it's funny.
Yes.
He's a legend. I love Tony Romo.
I love him.
They tried to turn me on Tony Romo. And
Don't
I
let
said,
him.
You know
Why'd
what?
they do
Don't let
that?
the haters do that.
Why
No.
Don't let them do
You
it.
can't make me hate Tony Romo. I think he's great.
I will share with the audience what is happening there on a wild Billy Thursday. Okay. Billy is executive producing his own show for the 6 fans who find him the most uproarious, because he is the most uproarious when he makes these particular jokes for these 6 fans.
A to B, Dan.
So A to B, Billy Gill in charge of Billy Chill, in charge
A to
of
Billy.
executive producing, has just decided, because I stared at him 3 minutes ago and he saw the furnace in my eyes. He saw the rage in my eyes that we did not instantaneously have the Aaron shots music. So that is Aaron Shots laughing. No one in the audience knows that except for 3 people who know that Billy's producing the show and he's shots fired. It's Aaron Shots laughing.
Good laugh. I assume a Suey nominee.
Why can you not find in the library the shots that plays every time we have Aaron Shots on answering your fast phone calls?
I don't think we got that from ESPN.
No, they
I put
kept
in
it.
here Aaron Shots laugh, Aaron Shots interview, but there's no shots.
How are you spelling shots?
SCHATZ.
Oh,
and then I tried to misspell it a couple different ways, and all I
Shats.
found here,
I mean, in Billy's defense, he did have the Mina Kimes sound at the ready.
And the laugh. I mean, who could forget?
He was prepared.
What Greg Cody just did there, where he turned shots to shats,
It spells it with an A.
Probably a rough childhood for old Aaron, right?
Pronounce your own name.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is it a rough childhood for you if your last name is Schatz?
Try Wiener on for size. Want to hear about it.
Look at Billy admiring his own work there with the Hakeem Nicks laugh.
That is a good laugh.
You think he gave me the joke of my last name?
He looked very pleased with
did.
himself. Yeah, I tend to recognize his look. Yes, I believe he reminded you what your last name is. Yes, I do believe that. I've been watching him do it for years. Can you guys get for me, please, the sound yesterday from David Samson when he was on with us? Because I came in today and people were arguing about it because Billy wasn't on yesterday and Jessica wasn't on yesterday. But Billy was delighting in the idea that David Samson announced to everyone listening that he himself should be in the Marlins Hall of Fame.
I'm guessing David thinks he should be in the Marlins Hall of Fame. And I'm not certain he's wrong. I mean, he did win a World Series as team president.
And got a ballpark opened.
Yeah.
And so do I think that I should be in the first class? Absolutely not. Do I think that when you look at important figures in the history of the franchise, am I in that conversation? I don't know how to argue against that.
Wow. How about that? Hall of Fame. The Marlins invent a Hall of Fame for themselves. How about joining a hall of spending money on players? What they need is a new owner right now. And to David Samson's credit, at least when he and Lori were running the franchise, they went, they had fire sales, but they spent money. They gave, Stanton a big contract.
How dare you say the Marlins didn't spend money? They signed Cal Quantrill yesterday. They are no longer the lowest spending team this offseason. Why don't you go talk to the Cardinals or the Brewers, Greg Cody?
Yeah,
How about their owners?
Samson is no longer running the team, though, to Greg's point.
Samson could be in the Hall of Infamy.
No, but when they got the new ballpark, that team did spend money. Now, they didn't spend it well,
They
but
sold
they
it by
spent
June.
money.
What are we doing? Revisionist history, guys.
They really did
Enough
trade
time
everyone.
passes and anyone can look good.
It's so bad.
Well,
It's just crazy.
If you have
Except Bruce Sherman.
if you have a subheader in your wiki page that says subsequent ballpark-related lawsuit.
Also Rico.
Do you get
Thank you.
Rico lawsuit following the sale of the Expos. So that's unrelated to the Marlins, I guess. Do you get to be in that team's Hall of Fame? Going off wiki header, Dan.
And so I ask you, are those convictions or those allegations? Like, what, are those settled? Like, I think that lawsuits, I think.
OJ didn't kill anyone, technically.
I don't know. I remember one time, this will make you guys laugh. I went one time as an entrepreneurial reporter, back when you would go to a library and actually just like look through things in film, records and stuff. And I remember because I was an intern and they had assigned me some things asking me to become a reporter when I wasn't really a reporter and didn't know how it is to go about this. And so I was looking up and found that the Miami Heat had been sued 7 times. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, okay, I've got something here. What is this? And alphabetically, right after Heat is Miami Herald. It had been sued hundreds of times. like I'm sitting there reporting on lawsuits, so I don't know here what is true and what is not true. Except beyond what Jeremy is saying, which is yes, if enough history passes, people will forget the bad things that you have done because there is no circumstance under which anyone in this town would make an argument on behalf of David Samson for a Marlins Hall of Fame
Okay, you may not know about like the status of the lawsuit, which was dismissed, but you do obviously know about the ballpark deal, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But they
Hall of Fame worthy?
They didn't do anything illegal with the ballpark. Right. They did things that would be considered, I guess, business immoral, but everyone investigated everything. Like he got a ballpark built in a town that does not thank him for building that ballpark. And he's not wrong.
They didn't want it.
But he's not wrong. No, they didn't want it, but he's not wrong when he says the business of baseball still exists in Miami because of that ballpark.
Right.
It would be Oakland if not for that.
Well, that could be his Hall of Fame, though, because he's never getting into the Hall of Fame. Never. Not even on his deathbed will he get into the Hall of Fame. He's just, as a position of president of the team, he's not going to get into the Hall of Fame just because of his position. And he's the most infamous of them and not well-liked by anyone.
Billy,
a
I
fan
think
of the team.
yesterday it
I
was
like him.
agreed that it would need to be a tragic death for David Samson for him
Yes.
to get into
How
the Marlins Hall of
tragic?
Fame. Like tragic.
Yeah.
He would have to have a tragic death.
He would have to personally in order to potentially get into the Hall of Fame.
Like in the next 2 years.
And then how long
Right,
after
young.
the fact?
I want to explore what Greg Cody just did there because thank you for taking up for David Samson there. Greg Cody said, as does Chris Cody. I like him.
They like him personally, not as president of the Marlins.
Well, here's the thing. David Sampson's job in that stadium deal was to negotiate the best possible deal for his business, the Miami Marlins. It was the responsibility of the city of Miami and Miami-Dade County to protect the taxpayers and do their job by negotiating a deal that didn't be so lopsided for the Marlins. David Sampson did exactly what he was supposed to do as a club president. It was the politicos
in
at the
regards
time
to
who
the
didn't.
stadium, though,
Yes.
because he completely
Yes.
turned off a fan base for generations as
Right.
president with on-the-field moves. So I would argue that he did not do what he
But you
needed
would not
to do.
allow him into the Hall of Fame even if wheeled in on his deathbed just as a visitor? Like even
Like a paying visitor to the
Really?
Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
yeah,
He could
yeah.
come
He
as a
could go to the
visitor.
fifth floor.
He could go as a guest if he wants of
On a
someone.
gurney.
Well, I don't even know if he can go as a guest. They may not have
would
allowed
you
him in
be
the
okay?
building.
Would you be okay? Would Billy,
I don't care.
Would Bill? Well, you just said not even on his deathbed that
I'm
he will
saying
never get in.
not because of me. I'm not a voter.
Okay,
I have no
but-
say in who
but-
gets in
but
and who
no,
doesn't.
but
I'm just saying reality says he's not going to get into
Billy,
the Hall. There's
give-
4 people.
Billy, given that you're somebody who cares about the Marlins
Yeah.
still, in
I don't have a
ways-
vote.
I understand that you don't have a vote. You're not as important as Greg Cody, who has many Hall of Fame votes.
One, to be
You,
exact.
you are a big Marlins fan, and so
Objective.
I'm telling you, when David Samson is on his deathbed,
Yeah. I don't know why we're doing this.
that's fine. How about you just let me do the show? David Samson is on his deathbed, and he is outside the gates of the Marlins Hall of Fame because he
I was
wants to
wondering
get
which
in.
gates he was
Yeah,
going to
which
go.
jeez. Couple of them.
You know the gates.
He wants to be. He wants to be let in as a dying wish at the end, as an act of compassion and understanding that forgiveness is something that we should all aspire to.
Aspire to, not reach.
Okay, understood. I'm making you on this one day the gatekeeper. The one day I'm okay with you protecting Marlins fandom and how the fans feel about the Marlins. Do you allow a dying David Samson on his deathbed to be wheeled in by gurney into the Hall of Fame as a visitor? As only a visitor.
Paying or invited guest?
Like he just wants to see the hall? Like
Look, I know he's
It's a
not.
short trip. There's only 4 people in it.
I know he's not going to say. I know he will not say that he will allow him to be in the Hall of Fame enshrined. There, right? Or would you?
What? Tony was talking in my ear. What are you asking me?
Would you be okay with him enshrined in the Hall of Fame
No.
for the Marlins? Okay, so the only way you will allow him in is with a paying ticket on his deathbed.
Possibly. Maybe. We'll see. How long off is this?
How long would you like it to be?
I'm just asking.
he takes it seriously, Dan.
Yeah, I'm not
Marlins
taking this
Hall of
question
Fame. Yeah,
lightly.
right.
It took, 30-something years to even come into existence.
Yeah,
Every other team has a willy-nilly Hall of Fame. The Red Sox, the
Ridiculous.
Cardinals. Exactly right.
What's ridiculous about
One
it?
Hall of Fame, that's it. The
Right.
major one. If you
Yeah.
can't get into that, you don't belong in
Right.
the others.
Are you okay with the class for the Marlins Hall of Fame? The first class. I mean,
Wait
no?
a minute. What do you
Nah.
What do you mean?
You love the Marlins. I mean,
I don't want to talk about the Marlins first class.
oh, it's a
I
great
mean,
class. I'm wondering why Eric
not?
Gregg's not in
It's a
it.
good
To
one.
be honest.
That's why he was just setting up that joke. He rode home with that joke yesterday. I didn't even see it coming. The old veteran threw one past me. An Eric Gregg joke.
I mean, Conine is the first person in his.
That's a funny thing to put in the Marlins Hall of Fame
Right.
because I would also put in that Hall of Fame the Roy Halladay thing. He threw a perfect game against us and we sold the ticket stubs afterward for profit.
Right.
Another David Samson original. This is a good Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
I found a column that says it's from the Tampa Bay Times. It says Greg Cody Loria must sell Marlins to elicit cheer, and then in paragraph 2 it says, "You thought the death of Fidel Castro was celebrated down here. The departure of Loria might run a close second."
I did write that. I remember.
But now Samson deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he saved baseball?
No, because Greg likes him.
Right.
First
No,
of all,
you're right.
First of all, I never said he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but he was largely responsible for the new stadium. And
Did you say that was a good thing at the time?
It was a good thing for the Marlins and for baseball fans.
Did you say that at the time?
Yeah, Jeffrey Loria actually got along with me because I was one of the few people in the media who supported that deal for the Marlins and for baseball fans, while acknowledging it was a terrible deal for the city of Miami. But I never blamed Samson for getting the best deal that he could. That was his job. And it was the elected officials' job to protect the citizens and the taxpayers. They didn't do their job. David Samson did his job. And if I'm inducting a club president into the Marlins Hall of Fame, I would put Samson in before I'd put Derek Jeter. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, that's obvious.
that's fair.
Yes.
Okay, but I think the average fan would go, "Oh, Derek Jeter, superstar. We hate Samson." Samson did a better job as club president than Jeter did.
Greg, I'll just flatly say it. David Samson belongs in the Marlins Hall of Fame.
It's not the Hall of did a better job.
Exactly right. None of the presidents have been great. I mean, he got a stadium, and that's his legacy.
Right.
The stadium's his legacy.
They got their two
That's
managers
good
in
enough.
The thing that I would say about Greg Cody, and Billy Corbin has been making fun of Greg Cody about this particular thing for years, because, Jeremy, you would indeed be wrong. Greg Cody was very much for the idea of bilking a very poor region so that Greg Cody would have a place to park for free and go up to the press box and have free media hot dogs. And he wanted the taxpayers to pay for what is good for Greg Cody and the business of Greg Cody and sports of Greg Cody. We all vote with our own interests, and Greg Cody was very publicly rooting for David Samson because it was good for business down here in South Florida, as opposed to Jessica, who's bad for the business of just sports and football because
Doofus.
Nick Wright says she's a doofus.
He's right.
You were voting for you there. Greg Cody, Billy Corbin, and you do not get along, and you don't
Right.
like Billy Corbin.
No, he's a jackass. He can be in his animus toward me, and in other ways, he's got some jackass in him.
Yeah.
And don't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying is, it's David Samson's job to get a stadium built and to make the best financial deal he could, and he did. It's not David Samson's responsibility to protect the taxpayers. Elected officials are supposed to do that. They didn't do their job.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you argue that the city's editorial board being very pro a stadium does actually matter in the sort of like support of its constituents and readers?
I don't recall what the Herald's editorial board...
It was very positive about this. I was just reading a blog post with some of their...
As were
articles.
you throughout.
Yes, I was, yeah. And I don't recoil from that. I don't recoil from that at all. The taxpayers have elected officials to represent them. Those are the ones to blame. My whole point is I don't blame the Marlins for doing the best job they could on to get a financially good deal for themselves. They did a great job.
David was just doing his job.
It's exactly
and
right.
now his job is to negotiate against me.
And now we're saying, as collective Marlins fans in the room, that he did his job, but that is not Hall of Fame worthy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the do your job of fame.
I think Billy made a good point. If all your legacy is that you got a stadium built and that arguably that stadium saved baseball in South Florida, that's a pretty good legacy.
That's fine. And by the
yeah,
way,
and
like
throw in one Super Bowl or
One World
Super Bowl,
Series,
one
yes.
World Series
Yep.
title.
Yeah.
And,
Right,
you know.
regardless of how many people in the neighborhood were negatively impacted by
Okay,
it.
let's blame the politicians for that.
There's plenty of blame to go around.
Drain the swamp.
Okay.
I was like 7 when this happened, and I didn't live in Miami. I'm just trying to make the argument for it doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so the Billy Corbins of the world think to themselves, you know what? David Samson, businessman, should have been a philanthropist on the part of the people of Miami and said, hey, city commissioners, this deal's too lopsided for the Marlins. You got to do we got to give you more money. We got to make the deal better for you. No, that was the politician's job, and they failed. And to this day,
Okay, but like let's like stretch this out a little bit. Do you not put any personal blame on any business person or oligarch who gets away with fleecing people out of money just because an elected official gives them the power to do that?
I
taking
do.
David Samson out of the equation completely because we all know him personally. Like
Right.
that's I think a sort of a ridiculous stance to take, that you should just expect everyone to be as selfish and greedy as possible. And if, people elected to go in power, let them do it. Well, you can't blame them for it.
Well, I can and do. I blame the politicians.
A lot of them
in this
got
case.
recalled.
No, I'm talking
or
about
voted out of
not the
office.
non-politicians.
The rich people who take advantage of the fact that they can influence power with their money.
And they can, and they should, but the firewall is supposed to be the elected officials. Okay, if you can blame big pharma because you're paying outrageous money for a medication, that doesn't start with big pharma. That starts with the politicians allowing it. Now, if you're running, and a
But
president.
Greg, we live in a capitalistic society where money can exert influence over elected officials. It can
Right.
win people elections.
I know.
This is like playing out currently in
You're right.
Washington.
Yeah. So, but okay, if you're the president of a baseball club in any era, your job is to get a stadium built and strike the best deal that you can. I don't understand. You don't have to be an evangelist for the people.
I think no matter what,
The politicians
anyone
are
in
supposed to do that.
any private sector, they're trying to get the best deal for themselves.
Right.
And in some parts of the private sector, no matter whether they're providing what we would view as a public good or not, right? Having a baseball team in your town, public good to an
Right.
extent. But when you're in the private sector and you're trying to get that best deal for yourself and yourself alone, that's where we start to kind of blur those lines between what's okay, what's not, morally, not morally. You're right. David Samson's job. Make the most money I can, get the best deal for me and my fellow people who are financially involved,
Right.
and move on. But to be in the position to sort of just write that off as, that's what he's supposed to do, and then make that the case for him to be in a Hall of Fame is an interesting one.
In fairness, it's only been 13 years. It could still revitalize Little Havana.
The name of the podcast is Nothing Personal because he prides himself on business not being this kind of personal. Stugotz, I was surprised, and perhaps I shouldn't have been, that the other day I got aggregated on some of the reporting that I was talking about as it related to the Durant and Miami Heat stuff.
Right.
And it was specifically about Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, and how it is that he is a nightmare. I thought that was the most common of knowledge. I thought people understood in no uncertain terms that the owner of the Suns was running the Suns in a way that made it pretty obvious that it was his toy. Different Suns than the way that the owner of the Jets did it. But
Yes.
that I thought you guys all understood and everyone knew that Ishbia was being meddlesome owner guy, and because he has the money and the power, he's allowed to be, he can be, and we can object to it, but it won't change the fact that the money and the power gets to run those teams the way they want.
So you thought it was common knowledge, and you're wondering why it is you got aggregated.
I was it not something that
I'm
was,
with you. I'm
that
totally
was,
with
that
you.
everyone
Yes.
already knew?
Does it feel like a little bit of inside baseball? Because we had the episode with PTFO where he was talking about how he had the leaked phone calls with kind of painting Ishbia in a bad light. So it feels like us internally here at Meadowlark have seen the happenings of Matt Ishbia and been like, oh, maybe he's not the most.
The Pablo Torre Finds Out episode goes and does a deep dive on like the mortgage industry and basically how it is that he and Dan Gilbert hate each other and how it is that they got rich. But nobody can be surprised that Ishbia would want to be like Dan Gilbert while fighting Dan Gilbert when you've made your money at the top of the mortgage game and just like, and given what the housing problem is in this country.
A big one.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Are you excited?
I don't trust what's happening around here. I see that Jessica is in the back and she is rubbing her hands together like a sinister villain of some sort, and she's doing something with her eyebrows.
Like a praying mantis.
I don't. What is with those eyebrows? What are you doing? Okay, I don't know what's happening
Yeah,
here.
she's right.
What are you guys
excited.
doing? Why are there people? I hear clamoring pots and pans in the other room.
Well, Dan, I don't know if you're aware of this. Hopefully you are because it involves you. The 24th Annual South Beach Wine and Food Festival, presented by Capital One, returns to Miami February 20th through the 23rd. Tickets are on sale now at SOBEWFF.org. So SOBEWFF.org. And today we decided, because, again, this I hope you're aware of, you're going to be hosting an event for the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, the Sunset Feast. And I'll give you a little bit more information on that now. Hopefully this isn't the first that you are hearing of this. But we decided to invite some chefs over because I know that you fancy yourself a talk show host on the television, a Carson of sorts. So I said, what is this show missing? We're missing a cooking segment. So we decided we're going to bring in some chefs. We're going to bring in Chef Jose Mendin, a 5-time James Beard Award semifinalist and co-founder of the Pub Belly Restaurant Group.
Oh, that's good. Pub Belly. Oh, Pub Belly's good.
World-renowned chef Janine Booth, originally from Australia, now living in Miami, with her fellow chef husband, running several restaurants, including the Stiltsville Fish Bar.
Oh, I love Stiltsville.
Yeah. That is so good. Both of those are good. This is one of the best events that Miami does not do a lot of great events annually that are consistently great. This one never has failed. This one never falls down.
Better than the boat show. Am I right? Better than Ultra.
Yes.
Am I right?
Well, different. They're different events.
This one is the best one, Billy. This is the one where you can go in a tent on Miami Beach with a little glass around your neck and fill it up with alcohol and food.
I've never been. I think I'm going to go this year. Check it out.
It's pretty great, and I am doing something with Belky's. Why have you put Tony in this room? I think you're hell-bent. I think you're hell-bent on chaos here.
No falsehoods. Okay, so here's the thing. Both of these chefs, they're going to be serving their delicious food throughout the festival. And Dan, as you mentioned, you're going to be hosting a Sunset Feast event with Belky's Naray.
Who's more famous, Dan or Belky's?
Belky's, for sure.
We're not,
It's not a competition.
But
exactly
just
right.
asking.
It's not a competition.
Who gets
but
top billing
Belky's
there?
does win that competition.
Well, Belky's has top
Belky's
billing.
has top billing there. It's not a personal thing, Dan. It's just
Wait a minute.
matter
She's
of
got
fact here.
nachos there. She's got something that makes her
Well,
go first there.
okay.
What does she have
She's
there?
an expertise. It's a nice linguine.
Guys, here's the thing. This event is going to be February 22nd on Saturday evening. You
Wait,
can
is
see
it
all the
linguine
information.
or
Yeah,
nachos? I
it's
feel like we
linguine.
need a ruling on the
It's
on the
linguine.
photos.
It is a pasta, but you would understand why.
Dan,
It
why
looks
did you
like
think it
nachos,
was
though.
nachos?
And that's why she's the expert,
Exactly.
Dan.
Yeah. So
You would
here-
think, looking at us and my bloated face, that I was the expert, but no.
No, people get nachos and linguine mixed up all the time.
Bite
That's
with
fair.
Belky's, Dan.
Okay, so the point is, Dan, you ask why Tony's there. It's because we're going to be doing some tasting here of some of the dishes that they have made for us. Unfortunately, as you know, it's one of your burdens in life, is that you have a number of allergies. So we don't want you to have some sort of situation where you break out, where there's too much of this or that in there, and then your blood, something happens, and I don't know, you get sick, you get swollen, whatever it is, you throw up. So Tony and I have decided the safest play is for Tony and I to both be in there, and I'll be here too because I have to kind of turn the levels up and down
Safe
and all
for
that.
whom?
The safest for you, safe for you
For
to
your
make sure.
colon and your
Exactly
large
right.
intestine.
Physical health.
We want to taste the food, and we're going to describe to you what we're tasting, and then you can choose which one of the dishes you think tastes best, based on how we're describing it.
So it's the same dish, but
Yeah.
you're getting two different descriptions.
Exactly right.
And then you can pick which description you like best.
Yeah.
Wait, so it's not.
And then they'll come in and they'll tell us what it is that we're eating. But we're going to, with our sophisticated palates, I feel like it's going to be fairly obvious once they get in there what it is that they.
But I'm
they
not
cooked.
going to be able to eat any of this.
Well, maybe, but depending on how we describe it to you, maybe you'll determine that
Yeah.
this is safe for me to eat or not eat.
If it's gluten-free, dairy-free,
Exactly.
tree nut-free,
All right, well,
flavor-free.
They're professional chefs, so the food doesn't taste like. So you probably can't taste it.
All
But
right, so who is coming in here? Is it Jose Mendin first, or is it going to be Janine Booth first?
I think first we're going to have Chef Janine Booth is going to be taking in a dish. And I'm going to
Okay.
run over there
Exciting,
now. and
Dan.
then
All
I'll
right,
give
thank you,
so
Billy.
Fill now.
Okay, yeah,
Phil.
thank you.
Yes.
You're doing a lot
Stretch,
of
as they
different
say,
things
yeah.
here. You're spinning
Do
a
you
lot
want
of
Sasha
plates.
to sit in the EP chair? She can handle
Yeah,
that.
go ahead and
Okay.
handle that. Yes, a little
All
more
right.
chaos would be good. I don't think she'll stay there. But help Janine in. You guys are going for maximum chaos here. I don't understand why Tony's in the room. I don't understand why it is that Greg and Stugotz are no longer in the room. Careful
Disappeared. I don't
there,
know.
Jessica. Jessica almost broke her ankle, and we almost had a dog thrown at a camera. That wouldn't have been good. Sasha, yes. Janine, thank you
Oh, wow.
for being with us here, and that looks both delicious and
Okay.
healthy. That looks both
Wow.
of those things.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to grab one of these right here.
Welcome. Yes. And so you guys, explain to me, Billy, how this is working. You're the game show host.
All right, we're going to be tasting this. Chef, are these both the same thing or are these different?
They are all the same.
Okay,
They're
great.
all the same. So there's little bite-sized pieces for you there.
Okay.
This is one of of the dishes that we'll be serving at the Sunset Feast event.
So this is tuna. I think
Whoa.
it looks like it. It looks like
Whoa.
it. It looks like it.
Let us taste.
Let the experts do their job first.
Okay,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be looking then. I've ruined
No,
it.
you can look. You can look. But you said one of the main
Yeah.
ingredients.
Okay. So I'm so. Well, I mean,
Look, but you can't.
For the audio audience, we're looking at.
my mouth is watering.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
a little bit. It's almost like a little taco of sorts, but it's
Yeah.
not the taco you think. It's almost like
Does it look like a bao bun?
it's not a bao
you
bun.
sure
It
it's
almost
not
looks like
linguine?
un chicharrón.
It's not soft. It's crispy. I don't know if we
It's
should
like a
describe it
crispy
before we take a bite.
tu-
There's a crispy kind of wrapping here.
I'm
Doesn't
gonna take a
look
bite. I'm gonna take a
gluten-free
bite.
to me.
Yeah, take. Then there's what looked to be some burnt sesame seeds from like a Burger King type.
What is that crunch?
meal
How would
on
you
the
describe
outside.
what the wrapping is? It is not
Yeah.
a taco. It seems like some sort of healthy, crispy
It's
thing.
like chicharrón.
Yeah,
Like
there's
what
definitely-
chicharrón be?
That is what it is. Chicharron.
There's a nice aioli on top. We've got the black sesame seeds. There you go. Good.
But
good
wait
bite
a
with
minute.
that.
ASMR.
Chicharron is not healthy.
No, this is healthy for sure.
Depends how you make it.
A little
Depends how you make
gluten-y maybe in here. I sense some gluten.
My mouth is watering. Can
Some
I-
avocado
Perhaps
too.
like an essence of wheat.
A note, a slight note. There's
I'm
wheat
not
in it.
allowed
difficult,
to have
Dan.
any of this. This is what we're doing here. You guys
It's
are just
kind of
gonna,
chickeny tasting, you
you're
know.
gonna, chickeny tasting.
there's a
Okay,
chicken taste
Billy
to
does
it.
not win whatever this contest is. The winner for best description goes to Tony, who did not describe it as chickeny tasting.
Chickeny tasting. No, it was not
Kind of.
chickeny tasting.
Janine, now what is the payoff here? You're going to tell us what it is they just consumed?
Yeah, I mean, I think you both had really interesting takes on
you.
what the dish is. I love the chicharron idea. It's actually not chicharron. It's actually a shrimp chip. So
that was
rather
the little
than
bit of salty
pork
flavor
skin,
there, yeah.
it does have that like salty umami kind of flavor and definitely a really nice crunch. And then it is a tuna tartare. You had the spicy aioli, right? The burnt sesame seeds. No, they're black sesame seeds. They come in
Sesame
two
seeds, yeah.
colors. These ones just happen to be black. And there's a little sesame dressing. With
She's
some
got
avocado
5
and
of them
cherry
here.
tomatoes.
Jessica and Jeremy, are they allowed to have? She brought 5 in for you guys. And
Yeah.
how good was it? Because I'm sure
Excellent.
that's delicious.
I could have about 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
I think.
I guess I
think
would love some.
Yeah, Sasha wanted to try it too. So
Okay, we're not going to give it to the dog. That's probably
yeah, no, that's
disrespectful.
not- that's not gonna
I
happen.
think that is insulting to the chef.
That's fine. I mean, the dog is really, really cute. So I'm
okay.
happy to share.
But that's probably got dairy in it, right? That's dangerous with
Yeah,
the dogs.
dairy
You got to
for
be
sure. I
careful.
don't know.
All of a sudden, Jessica's going to have a mess on her hands she doesn't need if we go.
Oh,
with
we're
too
all
much
gonna
shit.
have a mess on our hands.
Yeah, not me.
If Dan eats it.
finger licking good.
So Janine,
KFC.
thank you. We are not rating this dish against the next dish, right? You're just going to keep
Yes,
bringing these
Chef
out.
Jose has another dish. It's actually you'll see. I
Okay.
can't tell
Don't,
you
you
anything.
can't talk about
Yeah,
it.
don't
Don't,
tell
don't
me.
tell
Yeah.
us. Do not
So
tell
I'll
us.
go tell him you guys are ready for
All right,
him.
thank you so much.
Dan,
Chef.
what did you think of that? Would
Yeah.
would that be something you would order?
Yeah.
I'm just hungry now.
What'd you think
Yeah.
of the taste?
I'm-
Based
I-
on how we described it.
I'm having a Pavlovian response. If you're watching me on video, I'm being bothered by how much this is become a bit of a suffering here. What
It's a
should
good
be
segment,
a festival of joy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that either.
What?
Festival of Suffering sounds like not a great tease for
Yeah, I
the
don't
South
like
Beach
buffering.
Wine and Food Festival.
Yeah.
Also interesting that food never made its way into the shipping container.
Here we go.
Well, I
Next
just
one.
offered you guys, and then Jessica
said
gave
yes.
hers to the dog.
Yeah.
Sasha loved it. She's
You
licking her
upset
chops
Chef
right
Janine.
now.
Yeah.
So this is Jose.
Oh, wow.
Jose Mendine, thank you. For, those Pub Belly restaurants are good.
Personal friend of mine, Dan.
Is he?
Really?
All right. And
Oh,
who's
wow.
describing what here? This is also making me hungry.
Okay.
I can eat this.
I don't know if you can eat. Hold on. I don't know if you can eat this. I gotta
I don't
taste
think
it.
so.
Yeah, give me
Hold
second.
on a second. All right, there's some grass on the top, which you should be fine with, and then a piece of cheese.
Oh,
It
wow.
would appear dairy of some sort, so you can't have the dairy.
Okay, let me
And then
Update, our
there's
food has arrived over here.
Some oils there, some essential oils.
Okay, so there's
some
a
people
Dan.
think.
This is a beautiful spread. Okay,
Yeah.
what we're looking at is possibly 3 other pieces of tuna.
Jeremy, you're disgusting.
It could be uncooked.
Did he eat it in one
chicken.
bite?
No, it's just he ate it.
I'm gross. Two
He-
hands,
he-
just
he doesn't have
the whole
any
thing in my mouth.
napkins,
No
and
coof.
like, look, this is
What am I
supposed to
waiting
be
for?
fancy food. These are gourmets here. You guys, this is like feeding wolverines. It's like feeding people who haven't been equipped with human etiquette.
Okay.
The best of our eaters is Jessica, and she eats granola tidbits by the pelican bite.
Yeah.
Throws them in her gullet.
Gullet.
That's accurate.
And she's the one who eats most. Like, this is disgusting what you just did, Jeremy.
You know that like the third picture that exists on Google if you search my name is my finger in my mouth from that Heat game because of you people?
It's gluttonous. Your
You did that
face,
to yourself.
Your face is
This has
gluttonous.
a pizza taste to it.
Face. Jeez.
Pizza.
Yeah, there's cilantro in
Dirty
here.
cheese.
Something.
Wait,
It is
cilantro?
gluten free, so I think you want some.
Oh, okay.
I'm not certain.
So Dan, what
But
we're
Dan,
looking
you
at
can't
here,
have it. You can't have this one.
I don't know if you can, Dan, because there's cheese in it, right? There's a beautiful like I don't know what the cheese is, but it could be like a Parmesan cream, right? With a beautiful thin piece of tuna with a little bit of Parmesan on top.
I don't think you're supposed to give away the tuna. I got
I'm not certain
reprimanded.
that it's
I got
tuna.
reprimanded
I'm
in the
not
first.
certain.
Well, why don't we go to the? Should we go to Chef Jose here on
Could be a
what?
tomato.
I mean,
It looks delicious. It looks like it's also replete with dairy, and it would make my
is.
face explode.
Yeah.
actually, Tony, very well. Come to the restaurant, explain to the customer.
A little chimichurri on top of the
No,
fish.
so it's not chimichurri.
Insider
That's
trading.
basil pesto. There
See,
is
basil.
cheese.
See, I
Well,
told
good
you
try, though,
pizza.
Tony.
The sauce itself is going to be a Parmesan leche de tigre.
Oh, I knew there was tiger
So
in
it's
here.
Parmesan with some citrus and some rice wine vinegar.
Yeah.
And then on top, yes, has a piece of Parmesan cheese and a fried piece of basil.
Chef, how do you milk a tiger?
Excellent work, Billy. I thank you
One
for
nipple
putting
at a time.
I'll explain to
Jose.
you outside, okay?
Yes, thank you. When we're in a more private setting, Jose, what would you describe as the most overrated of the fancy ingredients?
Of the fancy ingredients?
Yes, the overrated fancy ingredient where people like when I get something and they say it's pecan encrusted, I'm like, get out of here with your fanciness.
I mean, I think what's going on with caviar right now, the way that people are just it's too
Agreed.
expensive, and
Yeah.
it's, you know, come on.
Chris Cody just got into caviar.
I've noticed caviar's everywhere right now. It's very trendy.
And it's not cheap.
Well, we
It's
went
not cheap
from
at all.
the tinned fish trend to now we're doing caviar. What's with that?
The what? Oh, the tin fish. It's just the way they preserve the fish. that
I
makes
love
it
tinned
special.
fish, but now the tinned fish appeal is that it's $3, but the caviar is like $100.
Yeah.
Where are you guys on the descriptions of these food? Who wins? Are we pitting one food against the other? Or is it just you guys are eating in front of me and I'm
pitting
getting
their
frustrated?
descriptions
So I
against
think it's
each
all
other.
of it, right? Like you have to pick a description, we have to pick a chef,
Yeah.
and then you stay hungry.
Yeah, exactly. So who
Okay.
do you think won? Right, round one, Janine or Jose?
Based on the
Based on the
description.
description.
Based on the descriptions, yeah.
And what you saw.
Well, I'm gonna say that Jose won because Tony, as soon as he took the first bite, he screamed "Wow!" But he also is biased and he's trying to help his
friends
friend.
with him,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I just love great food. The Parmesan.
No, this
pita-
is a very
I don't know, Tony.
corrupt
What are you talking about?
situation.
Exactly.
it is.
Right.
It's just
All right,
It's
Look,
incredible.
Jose, congratulations! I'll give
Thank
you that
you.
victory, but I
1-0.
will also tell you Janine was robbed.
Okay.
Let's
This
have
is like the Marlins ballpark. all
Janine's
over
was
again.
excellent, Dan. Like
Yes,
delicious.
it was,
Yeah,
but you
thank
tricked
you.
me, Tony. Janine,
me?
are we going to a third dish here? How many dishes are we doing?
Oh, we
this
only have
with?
8 more. 9
Yeah, okay,
more.
740
How did
more.
we
Exactly
create
right.
a segment where Tony just got to eat gourmet bites of food
Yeah.
in the studio with you, Dan?
Jessica, I'm as puzzled by this as you are.
It's a great segment.
this
guys,
is what
Chef
happens-
Janine's coming in
This
right
is
now.
what happens on a
Chef.
Wild
Wow.
Billy Thursday when you put him in
Look
charge.
Oh my
at
goodness.
this.
Oh, these look like tacos.
Wow, this is good too.
Oh, I know exactly what
She's
that
good
is.
with the
Yeah.
wraps.
Yeah.
You got to be careful
All
with
right, hold
Janine
on
and the
a second.
wraps.
Yeah.
So now, for those of you who are listening, there are little slices of lemon. Should I sprinkle the lemon or the lime on it?
You can do a little sprinkle of the
Okay.
citrus
Just
on
like the
there.
chef intended. A
I'm a
little
lime
accoutrement
man.
on top.
Which is
Exactly,
better?
a little accoutrement. Look at you.
Lemon or
Jessica's
lime?
mouth
my
is now
first-
watering with mine. Jessica,
Come on.
do the Jessica mouth watering cam, please. I see what's happening over there.
All right, Billy's putting a lime on his. There's
There's
lemon
also
and lime.
a little mini Tabasco if you like it
Oh,
hot. But
okay.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
All right,
Okay,
hold on.
let's
Let's
see
take
here.
a bite.
The
Oh,
mini
wait,
Tabasco's a
wait,
nice
wait.
touch.
There appear to be peppers on this, which
Janine
I don't
wins.
have a great
Can you have
relationship
some
with.
sort of plate or something underneath?
Dan, are you allergic to peppers by chance?
I am. Yes, I can.
You can't have
Okay.
peppers.
You can have peppers, but these are like okay, hold on.
Oh my
Let me take.
God.
I'm gonna take just the whole bite here, Dan. If you want to watch.
I can
Hold on.
only
Oh.
have banana peppers. Those are the
Oh
only kind
my
I can have.
goodness.
the only ones are banana peppers. That's
Yeah.
the only pepper you can eat.
Yes,
Yeah.
the only
I guess-
the only nut I can eat is the
doctor.
pecan.
Well,
too,
Oh wow.
That's why you
I'm
went
so
pecan encrusted
sorry.
earlier. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry too.
Okay, Dan. Let me describe this
Delish.
for you, Dan. Dan, this is a beautiful fish dip taco with a cassava base, cassava chip base,
Oh.
with a little bit of pepper on top, a little bit of dill, and then if you want lemon, lime, or Tabasco sauce.
I sense some
There's a little bit
malanga
of-
here.
There's a little bit,
Malanga.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some malanga.
There
There's
is
no
some
malanga
malanga.
in there. That's no Cuban in there.
I sense
and there's a little bit
malanga.
of pickle,
A little bit of pickle.
and pickle onion,
A little
Yeah.
bit of
a
pickle.
little bit.
How
of pickle.
right did they get that, Janine?
You were like 99% right,
Hmm.
and then you coming in with the malanga. It was
Thank you.
actually malanga, so it's a malanga root taco.
Thank you.
What? Billy?
For real?
It's pretty amazing. So a malanga root taco with the smoked fish dip.
Wow.
With pickles, our house-made pickles from Stiltsville Fish Bar. We have pickled cucumbers, pickled Fresnos for a little bit of heat, and pickled red onions. So you guys
Delicious.
nailed it. I'm so proud of you.
And all of this
Dan,
is
you
going to
would
be
love this.
available Saturday, right?
No, Dan's malanga free.
Yes.
You're
this is gonna
malanga
be
free?
available Saturday at the event.
You love malanga, Dan. Don't do that.
My mom loves telling the story when I was a little kid. Loves telling the story. People would come over and I'd tell them not to leave, and then I would say, "We have malanga." That's like I was trying to
Perfect.
keep the guests
Wow.
staying. I was 36 years old.
hilarious.
Yeah.
The rareness of these guys, it's a tribute to you, I think, Janine. Them being able to itemize the ingredients because they taste each of them. They're not exactly experts here. It suggests that what you've made here is very fresh.
It is very fresh. Yeah, everything we do, especially Stiltsville Fish Bar, is all about fresh seafood. And so thank you. I'm glad that you were able to dissect all the different flavors. And you guys,
Did he get
you
it
guys
right with
nailed
the?
it.
Did he get it right with the cassava flour as well? Like, is that what?
There's no cassava. No, it's just the malanga itself. We just slice them super thin, and then we put them in these little taco
Okay.
fryers and fry
So that's
them
what- okay.
to get the shape.
Billy, I think
So-
Billy wins that one because he got the malanga. The other stuff is easy.
It's not for you to decide who wins
sorry.
here. Thank you,
Yeah,
Janine.
thank you so much,
Thanks, guys.
You get into thank you. You get into the big room, and all of a sudden, you're the one deciding who wins the thing.
I want to give him props.
What do we need to know here as we go to the fourth dish
We have
before
to
you?
tank this one for Jose, right? Like we
Yeah.
can't have him win. We have
No.
to have it come down to the last
Yes,
one. So
that's
no
right.
matter how good this tastes,
That's
you have
right.
to say it tastes
That's
bad.
right. That's
Is
right.
it a round of best of 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we
gotta
have
go to
to
a-
This
Really
is
good
going to
idea.
be bad no
Right.
matter what.
Well, you want to
Yes.
eat the third round.
Yes.
Tony, you're friends with him, but I think if you
Can we
throw it up afterwards,
Can we?
just like,
Let's do this. No, let's
vomit the
let's
food
insult
in his
it.
face.
No,
Exactly
when
right.
he gets in here, let's just say it wasn't. Any
Okay,
good.
good. Yeah. Okay, good. I think this is going to work.
All right, we are ready for Jose. We are ready
I think
to
he's
see
in the bathroom. He
if
seems to be
Jose.
missing,
That's good.
yeah.
That's where I want my chefs. I
Yeah.
want them to immediately
1
emerge
minute.
from the bathroom. That
Make
seems
sure he wipes his
wonderful.
hands.
I'm gonna try
I'll
this
turn
one
my
again.
I'll turn his
I don't know.
mic on and
Wash
see if
your
we can
hands
hear
when
what
you're done.
number he's
Yeah.
See if
doing.
this one was
Yes,
good.
thank you. Not helpful. Nobody here is
Okay.
helpful. Billy's
Stugotz,
making
there's
things
some
work.
food here if
oh,
you wanna try
Stugotz
it.
now.
Yeah.
Let's welcome
Speaking
him
of
into
not
the
helpful,
mix.
exactly.
Yes. So Janine, so far, I don't know where Jose is, but I thought we were going to a fourth dish now. Can we allow Jose to get in? Okay, we're going to keep waiting. We're going
All
to
right,
filibuster because he's not quite ready yet.
Well.
Don't worry, Sasha's doing a really good job on the ones and
Yeah,
twos
she's
over
killing
there.
it.
All I know is that first dish was absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
This is all really
Stugotz, would you like some of this malanga? It is delicious.
It's
It
a
is
malanga
good.
fish dip taco.
Sure, I have to come in there. I will come in a second and try it.
It's headed your way. Don't worry.
Okay.
You
Oh,
saved me.
terrific.
Exactly right.
Okay.
And then there's some
Malaga?
tuna.
Okay, but I fear that at this point we are just in a position where we're making the
Jose's
audience
coming.
listen to us have lunch.
No.
No, this is like-
well, when we can't find one of the chefs.
Yeah.
Dan, this is actually something uniquely Miami, the South Beach Wine and Food Festival.
Yeah.
We should be reveling in its uniqueness this time of year.
Yeah.
This is one of the special
Oh,
events
hey,
of our
Jose.
city.
And thank you. This is Jose. This is Chef
Oh,
Jose
look
Mendine.
at
I will
this.
say again that the Pub Belly restaurants are extraordinary, and so Stiltsville Fish Bar in South
Yeah.
Beach, by the way.
Dan, I got to tell you, this is the best Malagua I've ever had.
There you go. A little
I'm,
hot. this
I'm
one.
wondering
Did I say
how
it right?
proud Stugotz is that Tony was able to talk his way into a segment where he just gets to eat gourmet bites of food.
So jealous.
Very
All right, you guys
Stugotzian.
want to describe
watch
what's
Tony
happening
eating.
here? Oh, come on, man.
So it's a bit of it's a soup, Dan. So we're looking like a dumpling soup.
Yeah.
And I feel like the
It's like a cup of noodles, kind of.
broth
But
is
there's no
is
noodles.
beef based broth. Let's see what the dumpling is itself. Hold on.
I sent some soy. Can you have soy?
No.
Oh.
I can have the gluten-free soy. What is that, tamari?
Gluten free
Yeah,
soy.
tamari.
I don't know about that. How about corn? You have any corn allergies?
Yeah, I can. I can have.
Oh.
This has cheese in it though, Dan, so you can't have it.
I'm
got
tasting the
cheese.
corn. There's
Yeah.
definitely corn in
I
here.
thought we had agreed
Corny.
that the two of you. Thank you, Billy, for corny. That's useful. I thought that we had agreed that you were going to make an assessment of the food, not just describe it. That you were going
Well,
to.
you make the assessment. We're just
Well,
telling
but-
you how
but-
it's you know.
Right.
Look,
So-
I'm not going to sway you one way or another, but it's not as good as
let me
Janine's
try this
second
again.
dish. You know what I mean?
Uh-oh.
It's not as good as what happened. I didn't hear what you just
Ooh,
said.
number-
there.
yeah.
That's
I didn't say anything.
insulting.
That was
is
it.
insulting.
That was intentional. I mean,
That is insulting what he just did there.
I appreciate the slurping sound.
This is great.
Jose, dumplings
Not
are
as good.
delicious. Dumplings and
Oh,
soup
dumplings are so good.
are even better than that. What
Wow.
is it that they are eating here?
So this is my version of a corn soup dumpling.
Hold on just a second, Jose. We've got a little bit of chaos here when Billy's in this room when he shouldn't be. You were
Sasha's
saying?
got it under control. Don't worry.
You were saying
All right, so it's a gyoza corn soup dumpling. And you guys were right. It's a beef and soy broth.
Wow.
And inside it's just little, you just pop it in your mouth and just like a Chinese something, but it's like a mix of Italian and Asian. So they were pretty accurate.
excellent. They seem to be real connoisseurs. I'm sorry, Chef Jose, you have lost this round,
Yeah.
even though we like the dumpling. And
The dumpling is delicious.
The reason you're getting disqualified this round is because of how hot and soupy the food is in a studio that requires plates, and these people eat sloppy, and there's slurping going on. So you are now tied 1-1. I'm
Wow.
sorry.
It was a challenge.
I don't mean to insult you.
Incredible.
It is 1-1 now. I'm sorry. One of the things that happened here as I filibuster and Jose leaves the room
we're
is
back
that,
to back.
is
Hold on, Dan.
Filibuster.
Is
Rocky
it-
Mountain
she's here.
oyster.
is that Billy and Tony promised me that they were going to insult the dish and then didn't do it.
they didn't do it.
Then they didn't
They
do it.
left you in that
Just
spot.
said-
You had to kick them out.
you
That
know,
was ridiculous.
said it
They
tastes like
totally
a
hung you
not
out to
helping
dry.
me.
Completely hung you out to
They
dry.
said
Not
it's
fair at
salt?
all.
I don't think
I said it tasted like a cup of
Janine,
noodles. That's not a compliment.
You,
That
Janine,
is a
come on in
compliment.
here.
the old bait and switch.
Yeah. Oh, so it's being taken from me. Can I leave this here? Can I
Oh,
just
this
taste
looks like the best of the things I've seen in terms
wow.
of presentation.
Yeah.
And she's been good with the presentation.
That's like a fancy rock and rib roll.
all of these things are beautiful.
What's a rock and rib roll?
What's a rock and rib roll? That's a different story for another day.
What?
Chef.
Come on, Janine. And you call yourself a chef.
I mean,
Okay, I'm gonna grab one of
look, I'm
these.
from Australia, so there's a lot of weird American things that I've never
damn.
heard
This
of.
one's
so-
uniquely
Dan, don't
Miami.
eat that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Rock and rib roll. I'm gonna have to try that today.
Do I need a fork?
Oh, that
No, just
smells
down the
so
hatch.
good. Oh, that smells so good.
Okay, so this was made with sesame seeds. I don't know if you guys know this. Sesame seeds can come light or dark. It's not that they're burnt. And these were some of the dark.
Wait,
variation
he's
of
not supposed to
sesame
eat it in one bite like that, is he,
Okay.
Janine? He ate
I'm,
the whole
I'm
thing.
actually shocked that you were able to fit that in your
Thank
mouth.
you.
You must
Oh
have,
my God.
have a wide mouth.
You know.
Dan, can you have
That was
sesame
great.
seeds?
I can have some seeds, but not sesame seeds.
This is lamb.
What can you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, buddy,
Pecans?
I can have some proteins and
Pecans.
vegetables. That's what I'm eating. No
This
dairy,
is
no gluten.
Not American lamb, though.
That has dairy and gluten, Dan. So don't worry about
No.
it.
I think, Janine, based on what we know about your history, this is Australian lamb. Hold on.
Grass fed.
It smells good. The eating of it sounds good.
Spice.
Dan, think of it as like a meat pastelito.
Yeah.
But like cut in half or cut in how many ever.
Yeah, but much
pieces.
better. The pastelitos are usually dry. Like
Yes.
this looks moist. And tell us what it
There's
is you've
sweet
made here.
too, though, Dan. There's mango
Like a-
here.
yeah.
Mango chutney,
you got-
maybe.
yeah, you
Yep.
got-
Wow, guys, I am really impressed for a radio host. I
Thank you.
mean,
For
this
slobs.
Is, this is awesome. You did really well. So this is a dish from Sunnyside Up. It is in Regatta Grove, and it's an Australian cafe concept. And so these are from my home country. They're Australian sausage rolls using Australian lamb. They're merguez spiced to curry spiced, and then a little mango chutney on there, which you got, and some micro cilantro.
A real stunner that he threw the mango chutney in our face.
Oh,
like
Yeah.
some real expertise there.
I mean,
know
the
how he knew.
palate on you. It's amazing.
Thank you, Janine. Janine, I'm voting for you to win. It's
Wait
not
a
up
minute.
to me. I
You've got-
haven't
no,
tasted
you're-
Jose's food
hold
yet, but
on.
I
We
hope
have one
that
more
he
dish.
loses,
We got
yeah.
one more dish.
I'm going to tell him it
Yeah,
tastes
Sally,
terrible
we
no
haven't
matter how
even
bad.
tasted
You have to
Okay.
try it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm going to insult him right to his face.
Let's
No,
go,
you're not.
Jose. Let's
Disgusting.
let's see if Jose is ready because we're really bringing people in and out of here. And I will tell
Incredible
them.
plate also, Dan.
I will tell them again. I am going to be hosting a Sunset Feast event on Saturday, February 22nd. That is not this week. It is the weekend after. Tickets are on sale now at SOBEWFF.org. SOBEWFF.org. Where is your friend Jose? You've insulted Jose with the cup of noodles comment.
Yeah, Tony
I
did.
think, Dan, that you need to say how good Billy and I are doing for not knowing anything that was coming out of the kitchen, because people are going to think this is staged.
Yeah.
People are going to think, oh, they knew beforehand what the menu was, what the ingredients were. They saw them, they tasted them. We are completely blind here. We know nothing.
I'm legitimately so impressed with you guys. I actually can't believe how spot on you've been. Because I've thought, at least from the beginning, all the things you were saying were going to be jokes just to try to get Dan to feel like he couldn't eat. And then every single time you said something, the chefs had these looks on their faces of gigantic surprise.
Oh, what is
Don't
that?
put that in front of Dan.
Here comes Jose.
Yeah, that goes to
that's
Billy.
Danny.
Yeah.
He works with us.
No. Jose's coming in right. I know who Danny is. Thank
All
you.
right.
Oh, I can already smell
I
what's
mean,
on
this
here.
looks like
I can smell what's on here.
This looks
God,
like a
that looks
prank.
good.
If I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh wow,
prank?
I know
Yeah,
what this
looks
is.
like a prank.
What do you mean a prank?
It's only for you, Tony, though.
Thank you.
What do you mean a prank?
See see, mine doesn't
Ooh,
look
is
the
that
same
shaved
as
truffle?
No, yeah, I'm getting black truffle on mine actually.
Get out of here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Wow.
Danny, get out of here.
Dan, you can eat truffle, right?
Yes.
Tell me what to stop.
That there, you're good.
That's
Can you
a
shave
lot.
some of that
It's a
into
lot of-
Dan's
yeah,
mouth?
It's a lot of truffle.
Wow.
You could smell it, right, Dan?
Okay.
You could smell the
Yes,
truffle
I
and
could
waft
see it
over to
all
you.
over
See
the
here.
console here.
These
as
look like
well.
little mashed potato balls.
Yum. Let's see here.
I love truffle.
Buttery,
Yeah.
but not too buttery. Soft, but not too soft.
Yeah.
Hard enough.
Yeah.
Dan, you definitely can't eat this.
Just
No.
right.
Just right. Oh yeah, Dan, you're gonna like this. Creamy.
I thought you were going to criticize Jose.
This is creamy.
Who?
A little
Billy
too,
said he was going to.
Oh, Billy said
a
he was
little
gonna
too
do it?
creamy, Jose, if you ask me.
There we go.
Is that pasta? What are we eating?
It's,
Is that
it's
a gnocchi?
It's gnocchi.
Oh.
It's like a creamy
Dan, can you have-
Parmesan
can you have
gnocchi with
potatoes,
truffle
Dan?
on top.
Gluten-free stuff. I can have
Potatoes have gluten?
gluten-free pasta is what I meant to
Oh.
say. Yes, I can have potatoes.
But
Jose.
usually they use wheat flour and gnocchi to bind it.
Yeah.
Jose, is it annoying when someone comes to your restaurant and they order and they're like, but no gluten, no this, no that, and you have to make 30 different dishes for everyone at the table?
It's a lot better than the food that knows everything. Other than
Yeah.
that, I like working around people's diets and stuff.
This smells
It's
really
a challenge. It's like
good.
cooking in the kitchen here.
So wait,
You got nothing.
the annoying guy with a lot of allergies better than the annoying guy who thinks he knows everything. So you'd rather serve Dan than Tony.
Exactly right.
Me? What?
What's more
what I
annoying?
got out of
What's
that.
more annoying? Guy with a bunch of allergies, guy with a bunch of allergies, or a foodie?
Foodie.
Yeah.
Because you're taking the
Well,
pictures.
depends on kind of foodie. I mean, the obnoxious foodie. I mean,
Yeah.
We'll make it
name
obnoxious.
names. Who do you hate the most?
That smells so
you
good,
know,
man.
Everybody knows what makes it obnoxious.
Yeah.
I don't want
taking the pictures.
That smells really good. What they get everything right there? Did they get?
Well, it's not a gnocchi. It's a nudi. So there's no potato. It's made out of flour, and inside has pecorino, and it's a truffle butter, and then fresh black truffles on top.
Yeah.
It's a dish from my restaurant in South Beach, Casa Isola, right next to Pub Belly.
Excellent place too, by the way.
Well,
The
so
veal
are we
there's
going to
great
get a
there.
ruling here? Are we?
I
Gonna,
think Dan, you're making the
Yeah, it's
ruling.
up to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you make the ruling.
Whose
Yeah.
dishes sounded better?
Based off the
Right.
description.
Exactly.
haven't
You
been
can't eat
able
anything.
to
Remember,
taste-
Australian
Well, you're
lamb.
not supposed to.
Ooh,
You
the
have to just
Australian
base your
lamb was good,
opinion
though.
off
Mango
of what,
chutney.
I'll be good with the Thai. Jenny is really good.
off
so.
of what they're saying.
I
Yeah,
can't
mango
make it a
chutney.
tie.
Well, you have to pick.
need a
Salami.
You gotta
payoff,
pick, Dan, you
But
need
the
it.
descriptions
A
weren't.
tie.
All right, I have an
great.
idea. I have an idea.
Sports radio.
Tiebreaker. We have toast. See who makes the best toast with butter.
Wow, pan con mantequilla.
What do you think, Dan?
Dan can have the wait, he can't
No,
have
he
the
can't have
toast.
the toast. Or the
Jose,
butter.
for laughing at what Billy and Tony said, for being Tony's friend, and for following Billy down the paths of destruction that he has caused here, our winner today, Chef Janine.
Wow.
Yes.
Is our winner
Way to
today.
go.
Yes.
We love you and your accent.
Yes.
It was entirely the
I
accent.
will lose to Janine
yeah,
any day.
100%.
It is. It is.
So delightful.
Against my people. I
Yeah, I
hated
know.
my people's accent, but I was delighted
I'd
by
have been
hers. That's all that happened there.
It sounded like you just wanted to spite Tony.
Yeah.
Well, not Tony, Billy, for putting Tony in this room to make a mess of this because he does not know how
mess?
to
Well, he
eat.
doesn't know how to eat. He's a fool.
He doesn't.
I know how to eat. That's one thing I do know how to
But
do.
thank you, Chef Jose, and thank you, Chef Janine. We very much appreciate you cooking for us. It is an honor. I know that you guys are artists, so it is an honor that you would take this time out to be with us today. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
It was
very
a
fun.
true privilege. Thank
Okay.
you guys so much.
Gracias.
Now your room is forever going to smell like truffles.
It
Yeah.
really
It's
smells.
a great smell, though. It's a good
Yeah.
smell, yeah.
Yes, it is. It is a good smell. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Let's escort them
guys.
out here because this train stops for no one. We're not going to stop doing this and then have human interaction and say goodbye. We're just going to keep rolling along for 5 more minutes so that we can get out of this time commitment. It's nice to see you again, Stugotz.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see you guys.
What have you been doing with Chris Sims? Where you guys can all go back to where it is that you came from.
Okay.
I really didn't
I didn't know
expect
you
to
were
have
on
some
this.
of the best food I've ever
SGA
had
versus
today.
Jokic.
Take us out of
Do
here.
you want me to come
It was
back
amazing.
in there? What do you want me to
Met
do?
someone that knows
really
Dan
well.
yesterday. They were in a car accident together.
Whoa.
Oh, you okay?
What's that story?
I had Jerry.
No, we got to go, Billy. You can't
Yeah,
tell it.
well,
We got to go.
you
We got to
want
go. You can't say
a
it.
little tea?
You can't say it.
I've only been in one car accident in my life, and I don't remember. And there were people in the car, but I don't know why you would have met Kip Kudik over the.
Oh, it wasn't Kip. I met someone that was in a car accident with you in a taxi in California when you were going to Cal Stadium, I was told. The taxi hit something or someone and kept going, and you and this person said, you got to go back. You can't just leave the scene of this accident. This was
Nice,
years
Dan.
and years and years ago. Person now, as this person says, and I hope that you don't say that this person is a liar because they are a judge who was the judge at my jury duty yesterday. And the judge also apparently
Was it Judge Alex?
Wait, you had jury duty again?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I have to
No one
keep-
has it more.
I have to keep calling through the end of next week in case I have to go back another day.
Stop.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And the judge said, well, what do you do? And you tell all the stories of this is what I do, that's what I do, this is where I work. And the judge was kind of making connections with everyone. And I'm like, well, I work in the media, I do sports. And I'm like, well, who do you work with? I'm like, Dan Le Batard. Like, I know Dan. And I had a feeling. He knew because beforehand he told us that he was the Spanish play-by-play voice of the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, wow.
Who is also a judge now.
Wow.
Lots of things going on. You know who it is. We don't have to embarrass you here, and you don't know who it is. You guys are good friends. Old pals go way back. Anyways, I know about the taxi accident. I'll head out now.
It seems like a moment you wouldn't forget.
I mean, a hit and
Seems
run and
forgettable,
a taxi driver. With, now
Dan,
a
you
judge.
remember those days? You were on the
Yeah.
Cal beat. Do you remember?
Exactly right. Check out Cal Stadium. You and him used to go to the stadiums beforehand to just get the essence of the stadium before he was telling us all. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not.
Oh,
you
jeez.
can leave and take your truffles with you. It smells really good in here.
Not after Tony's food or chef, whatever.
You're
his name is
saying
those
that
days.
somebody went from fellow media member and announcer voice to judge?
Yeah, judge.
That's not a thing.
Friend of yours.
That's not a thing
He
that
still does
happens.
it.
That Rolly Martin,
He does both at the same time.
Did he get it right? Is it Judge Morton?
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
It's all coming back.
I do know who you're talking about now. I know exactly who you're talking about. That guy is a giant University of Miami booster.
Oh, boy.
And he's a judge?
He's a judge?
We strike that from the record.
Yes. Why are we striking that from the rest?
No idea.
Feels like judges probably shouldn't be boosters for college football programs.
Yeah.
Right?
Why?
Is there not? They run the laws.
Well, you
What
said-
if a Miami Hurricane
Isn't that
gets
how it-
arrested and goes into his court? I mean, obvious. There are obvious reasons.
He'd
This
recuse
is a
himself.
conflict. I mean,
Yeah. What do you think? That judges just don't have personal lives?
I'm just bringing up the point. That's all.
Okay.
You think that judges are wandering around in their personal life with no conflicts whatsoever? And
That's
then
right.
Just get to the courtroom and then reveal their conflicts and recuse themselves, or are just entirely corrupt.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we're so surprised by those Supreme Court rulings.
All right, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Should a judge
Hold on. Let's
be
just.
allowed to be a college football booster?
Specifically Miami.
Well, hold on. No, play-by-play person. No, I don't know anyone said anything about boosters. And let's remember, I have to continue to call for the next 2 weeks to see if I have to go back. So it's very possible that I end up in this person's courtroom again. So let's be on our best behavior, please.
We may have just gotten you out of jury duty, though.
Or into prison. Like, let's calm down, everyone. It's a serious case.
The funny thing that I remember about being, because I don't remember the accident and the cab and all of that stuff, but what does get jostled back to life is when I think of this judge that you speak of, what I do remember doing is calling him when I needed legal advice because I'd gotten into a bar fight soon after college. And
now, this seems like a conflict.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, like if he was the judge, you call him, it's like, hey, buddy, if I see you in court, we don't know each other.
I'm pretty sure he was just a lawyer at that time.
But you don't remember the car accident?
No, I don't.
Oh, he was getting in all these bar fights.
Selective memory.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. It's been a long time. Please forgive me.
Why were you going to Cal?
Yeah, can I give you a piece of advice? Just if
Used to
someone
cover
says
college football,
just always pretend you remember them, no matter what. They don't know the difference. They're like, oh yeah, Judge, yeah, great to see you. I miss you. What are you up to? Oh, and then you just repeat something
¿Cómo
they've
está la
already told
familia?
you exactly. Oh yeah. Oh no, I heard that you were doing play-by-play in Spanish. Is that true? You're still doing that? Wow, that's just And I heard that you definitely no conflict of interest in anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Always good to have a judge in your pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't put
And
it
the
that way,
play-by-play
but-
guy.
Is his name Jose?
I called him Your Honor.
How are you getting called for jury duty? So
I pissed someone off somewhere in the government. It has to be because I've been summoned 4 times in a year, and every time they tell me,
weird, man.
no, it's a different branch, so you still have to come.
Wait, like this is federal? And
I did civil, I did criminal, I did federal, and then I had also another criminal, and then they finally told me, like, you don't have to go to this one because you actually served on a jury. It's supposed to be
Wait
a
a
year. They're like,
second.
you served on a jury 53 weeks ago. We'll let this one slide.
Tony, don't you know people in the law? Is this like the longest con of your life? Are you the one that keeps getting Billy summoned to jury duty as payback?
I don't know anything.
we have Jeremy Tachet's allegation that from earlier in the show that he was saying that if you go to the third Google image, you will find Jeremy Tachet gluttonous of face and finger, sticking his fingers in his hands.
That's right.
Eating Cheetos. That is not the third image that comes up.
Salt
when
and vinegar chips,
you
by the way.
Google search Cheeto fingered Jeremy Tachet. That is
Yeah,
the
it is,
third
baby.
image.
Oh, wow.
The album cover of Jeremy Tachet, AI in the water. Or is that
Not
actually
AI.
you? It's not.
That's me in the ocean.
That's you,
'cause-
sexy, wearing soggy clothes, trying to
Yeah.
give off dark, brooding musical talent.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, about 22 years old right there.
All
and
right.
you know what, Dan? Was pretty sexy. You can look at that
Helpless.
picture. Come on.
Helpless.
I'm standing in the ocean.
It's
Writing songs.
Old soggy pants.
Yeah, that's right.
He does look good.
He doesn't have pants on.
Well,
He's definitely naked
you don't know
from
what's
the
going on
waist
underneath
down.
there.
I'm excited.
Super excited.
This is my first time doing Thursday Thunder, and
In 2025?
for sure in 2025. But
You're
maybe
never here
since-
on Thursdays.
Yeah, I'm not a Thursday guy.
Oh, that's right.
By the way, Thursday Thunder is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. So how does this work? Walk me through this because we have the
Very
Thursday
simple.
Thunder music playing.
Yep, Thursday Thunder music's playing. You did the read. I read the picks. So Juju Gotti has put together his 3 best prop bets for Thursday night.
Yeah.
Here they are. You ready?
And he's going to be at All-Star.
He's
which
going to be
is
at
why
All-Star. Probably
He
with
passes
me.
on to you,
Exactly
and then you're
right.
passing it to us.
Exactly right. First leg, Anthony Edwards over 28.5 points
Wow.
is the first leg.
What's our second leg?
Second leg. Yeah, you got to hit the Thunder.
Oh,
That's what I was
Thunder.
waiting for. Oh, perfect. Okay. A guy who I actually like as a part of the deal between the Mavs and the Lakers, Max Christie, has been playing really well. Juju has him. Max Christie over 14.5 points. And who do they play tonight? Your Miami Heat. Dallas Mavericks versus the Heat. All right, last leg. DeMar DeRozan over 3.5 rebounds. Very low number there for DeMar DeRozan. But all of that parlayed together plus 581. Anthony Edwards over 28.5 points. Max Christie over 14.5 points. And DeMar DeRozan over 3.5 boards.
Wow.
Second night of a back-to-back for both the Mavs and the Heat tonight.
Yeah.
So
big game from the Mavs last night. Kyrie
Yeah.
with 42.
ridiculous win. And the Heat, obviously,
Well,
those first 3 quarters, real fun against the Thunder.
The first 3 quarters were great, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh.
And then the Thunder realized they were the Thunder, scored 24 straight points.
Yeah.
Made
They
the
realized
Heat
they were the best defense
turn the ball over
ever.
6 times.
I saw a good stat.
Yeah.
I believe it was something like this. There are 4 single-digit quarters in the NBA this season, and the Heat have 3 of them.
That's right.
Leading
2 of
the
them are
league.
in their last 2 road games.
That's good.
Cool.
League
yeah,
leaders.
it's less than ideal. I mean, they're leading the league in something there.
How
Yikes.
does it feel in Heatland for you right now, Jeremy?
Like me personally,
Yeah. As this
I-
person has to kind of go out and be like, everything's great.
I like it better than I did 2 weeks ago. It was getting really toxic around.
He's
there
like
a couple
reverse
weeks
Chicken
ago.
Little.
Did Jimmy poop his pants? 'Cause
I saw that.
TMZ
Yeah, I think so.
I
is
did
making
see
it
that.
seem like he did.
Why
do
couldn't
number
that have
2.
been a PP?
I guess it could.
Could've
If it
been.
is, I
Go
mean,
pee-pee.
That's dark.
Dehydrated.
He's just not
Yeah, it's
hydrated.
dark.
Yeah.
Very
Which
dark.
would make sense. I mean, he's running around playing basketball.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
damn. Yeah.
It's been a
Yikes.
while since he's played, right?
Yeah.
Takes a lot of days off.
He does.
No days off.
Have you ever peed yourself at work, Billy?
No.
Same.
I farted on the train once.
Good job.